Been talking a lot about the American Red Cross reporting of this emergency blood shortage and calling on all kinds of people, especially healthy individuals, to roll up their sleeves and donate blood in the new year to help prevent delays in medical care for so many hospital patients. I'm joined now by Dr. Eric Gary. He is Executive Physician Director at the American Red Cross. Dr. Gary, thank you for joining us. How bad is the blood supply right now at the American Red Cross? Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. Right now, we have a real emergency situation, especially with regards to red blood cells from people who are type O, so O positive or O negative, and platelets from people of any blood type. And that's because the need for transfusions has been very high, but donations are not keeping up with that need.
You mentioned, and we understand because we've been doing stories about this, Doctor, that the blood level is some of the lowest that we've seen and your organization has seen in some 20 years. What is the cause behind this drop in the blood shortage?
Well, there's quite a few causes to it. One of the ones that's most important has to do with the way that people donate blood. And COVID changed, everything about the way that we live our lives, but it also changed the way that we donate blood. We like to say that blood donation is the ultimate in-person activity. And a lot of people who were used to being in person, for example, at work, and used to donating blood at blood drives that were held at work, all of a sudden lost their ability to connect with us because of changes to the workplace. And as a result of that, we estimate that we have 300,000 fewer blood donors today than we did before COVID. On top of that, the recent winter storms have led to the cancellation of hundreds of blood drives and have prevented the collection of thousands of units. And so everything is really coming together now to create this emergency.
As a doctor, can you tell us how this blood shortage really impacts hospitals, medical care, patients out there?
Yeah, previously having been based in hospitals, one of the things about hospitals is that they never know what's going to come in next. It might be a quiet day, or there might be an accident with injuries, or a blood transfusion needed for a new mom who had bleeding after childbirth, or a newborn baby who needs a transfusion. And so hospitals need a full blood bank to be completely ready for all of those scenarios. When there's a shortage like this, it causes hospitals to have to make really tough choices. And those choices truly impact patients and they impact healthcare, and they may lead to people being asked to reschedule a surgery that they were anticipating, or having to come back a different day to cancer clinic for a blood transfusion that they need. And so the impact on patients is very real, and donors truly do save lives by donating blood.
We know it's super easy. What's the best way? We have thousands of people that watch us on the digital desk. What's the best way people can help and donate right now?
I really hope people would go to redcrossblood.org. At that website, at redcrossblood.org, you can read all about the donation process. If you're a new donor, if you've had questions, or even if you've donated before and you have questions, there's a lot of information there. And you can type in your address or zip code and actually find blood drives in your area and then register for them right there on the website. So going to redcrossblood.org is the best way to step forward and save a life.
Dr. Eric Gary, Executive Physician Director at the American Red Cross. We appreciate your time. Thanks so very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. It is time to announce some new exciting toys and trends for this year. Elizabeth Warner now is joining us. She's going to talk about some of those exciting trends as an industry insider to share what's new. Elizabeth, I appreciate you joining us. You got a lot of stuff that's out there. Tell us what you got going on. Good morning to you. Can you hear me, Elizabeth? Elizabeth, can you hear me? Elizabeth Warner.
Hello,
Okay.
good morning.
Oh my gosh, you can hear me now. Great, great. Well, listen, tell us about some of
I'm
the
so
toys
sorry.
and trends that you got going on today.
All right, well, let's jump right in with Sticker Wow from Melissa and Doug. This is a new innovation, a fun way for kids to be able to play and learn with stickers. It comes with these adorable refillable sticker stampers. They all have cute personalities. Each one has 300 stickers inside. There's a 24-page activity pad, really fun and engaging. The kids are absolutely going to love it. Great for home or on the go, and by the way, perfect for the Easter basket. Now, Paw Patrol, so excited for this one because kids love all their favorite TV shows and movies. This is the #1 preschool property, and it's all about exciting rescues and adventures. The elephant tusk and wheels on this vehicle are going to be able to hit any obstacle, and then kids are going to be able to load up and project water wherever they need to by just pulling that trunk back and pushing a button. Lots of fun, and they're going to be able to reenact all their favorite scenes. Now, how about our gabbers? These are so adorable. Lots of fun for nurturing, brought to us by VTech. Now, our kids are going to be able to talk and sing with these adorable ones. They actually can perch on our children's shoulder with a little magnetic egg they put right underneath their shirt, push their tummy for reactions, squeeze that little wing to get some singing, and they come in a variety of fun colors. Great for the Easter basket as well. Now, what about getting those kids to learn? This is the Get Go Run Marble Run. So exciting to me. You take the old-fashioned marble runs, but bring it to a whole new level. These are really cool, flexible tracks. We're going to be able to build these. They have little suction pads that'll suction onto any flat surface, build what they want, arrange, rearrange, no glue, no mess. Great for learning engineering, physics in action, and the tracks are actually made from renewable raw materials, which is fabulous. So finally, for the little ones, they're learning to read. We want them to work on literacy. Learning Friends 100 Words book. Now they're going to be able to discover a whole new vocabulary with their fun little learning friends. They touch the different pages to hear the animals, lots of fun facts and sound effects, both English and Spanish when they flip that switch. All those words are chosen by learning experts. They're going to be working on pets, meal times, colors, opposites, and so much more. There's even music built in. And this one, another great one for the Easter basket. That's coming up.
I love it. I love it, Elizabeth. You just took the ball and ran with it. Okay, so are there any other trends that you see being an insider in the toy industry that you want to mention right now?
Yeah, so one of the ones that I touched on a little bit is that we are working really hard to start creating our toys from renewable raw materials. So these tracks are made from a bioplastic, which means they're made from plants. And we're going to start seeing this across the industry, and not only the toys themselves, but also the packaging. So looking to conserve and make the world a better place.
What about arts and crafts? Do you see any of those really coming to life in 2024?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So one of the examples was this sticker stamper, but parents are looking to get the kids back around the table, creating, using their imagination. So a lot of different mediums out there that the kids are going to be working with and creating not just 2D, but 3D items as well.
And I love the fact that you focused on toys that teach. Is that becoming a trend as well? I guess that's been a trend for several years now.
It really has, but one of the things that we used to see with toys that teach were that they were geared towards younger children. What we're excited to see now is that they're starting to build these toys that teach for older kids, keeping them engaged, keeping them off their tablets, building, and then learning about physics, engineering, but in a hands-on project that makes it a lot more fun.
Elizabeth, I love it. Where can we go for more information of some of the things you spoke about today?
Yes, you can go to our website, which is WernerInfo.com.
Okay, Elizabeth Werner, Toy Industry Insider. Thank you for the top toy trends for 2024. We appreciate the info. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, there's another live look from our High Five camera there. Midtown Memphis, 38 chilly degrees as you get up on this Thursday. We're talking about your forecast in 60 seconds.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Today, February 29th, the rarest day of the year, and really any year because we only get it once every 4 years. Of course, today, Leap Day. When you look at the Leap Day extreme, 76 the warmest back in 1932, the coldest 22 degrees in 1884, the wettest just over a quarter of an inch of rainfall in 1880. If we continued to get the rain in here tonight, maybe one of the wettest, but I don't think we're going to get to the wettest here to break a record. But definitely have some rain on the way that for the 7th time on a Leap Day in recorded history here in the city of Memphis. Snow is actually, yeah, we have seen snow on Leap Day. Just under 2.5 inches. That was back in 1968. Now today, this Leap Day in 2024, lots of clouds across the area, rain holding off, but we might see an isolated shower. Temperatures in the 30s early on to the 50s by the afternoon hours. Of course, we're waiting on some more sunshine. Warmer temperatures to come back into the fold. They're not far off from moving back into the region. Today, though, lots of clouds, maybe a couple of peaks of sun, and you might catch a quick shower or two as we go through the back end of the day. The bulk of the rain holds off until after sunset. So when you're checking in with Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers tonight on Action News 5 at 10, probably going to be dealing with the rain on First Alert Doppler radar. And when you're joining us here on the digital desk tomorrow morning, most of the rain will have already passed and moved out of the region. This is a look at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting out on the roadways for that morning commute. Probably still some opportunities for rain here and there in a few spots. Roadways still damp from the overnight rain, and the bulk of the rain exiting and the clouds hanging on tough as we head into your Friday afternoon. Now that's going to lead up to an issue of fog banks that could develop as we head through the overnight period of your Friday into early Saturday. Temperatures will start off in the 40s. Again, fog banks early on, sunshine to return, and a beautiful day expected with highs in the low 70s, upper 60s to low 70s for Saturday afternoon. And of course, we're in a gulch right now, but we're about to go running up that hill soon enough with the temperatures running about 10 to 15 degrees above average yet again, heading towards the early portions of the next week. And for some away from us up into the upper Midwest, some spots 30+ degrees above average. For us here in the Mid-South, again, as we go into your Saturday, starting off with some banks of fog, some clouds giving way to more sunshine through lunchtime, middle 60s, upper 60s, close to 70 as we get towards Saturday afternoon. Morning start in the 50s on Sunday. Yet again, morning clouds giving way to some sunshine breaks with highs in the middle 70s. A warm day and turning breezy on the backside of the day. Of course, those will be warmer breezes flowing in off the Gulf of Mexico ahead of our next weather maker. They'll bring us chances for rain and storms. They'll be building into the Mid-South, heading towards your latter portion of Monday, heading into Tuesday. Line of showers and thunderstorms moving through the area sometime during that time frame. We'll see how this all plays out. Now, keep in mind, we're heading into March, and you have to give that second look. Right now, not looking like severe weather, at least here locally, but could that change? Yeah, it's a possibility. We're several days out. So we'll be tracking it, keeping an eye on it, behind it, a little drier, but guess what? In the same vein as what we're dealing with this system right now, remember we just had a storm system come rolling through here the last couple of days, in the last 24 hours. That front's down to the south of us. Another area of low pressure formed behind it. Well, guess what? More than likely, same idea is going to happen here next week, and that will bring us another wave of rain likely towards the end of next week as well. So in the meantime, getting another wave of rain to move in here later on this evening into tonight. Temperatures will ease down to the lower 40s, 50s for highs for your Friday, low to mid 50s with a lot of clouds. Fog banks early on your Saturday, but I think we end up with a lot of sunshine. So if you've got plans to be out and about Saturday and Sunday, look to be fantastic. Turning breezy, though, late Sunday, leading up to the opportunities for some rain and storms during the day on Monday. But I think the bulk of our rain probably coming in here Monday night, leading into Tuesday. Now, depending on how quickly this front moves through the area, could have to up the rain chances going into Tuesday. And notice behind that system, there's not a huge drop in temperatures. If anything, we actually kind of hover in the same level in the upper 60s, close to 70, heading towards the mid portion of next week, leading up to the next wave of rain that could take us into the end of next week. Of course, you can see that on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. The 10-day forecast right there in the palm of your hand. You can also track any showers right there in the palm of your hand using the interactive radar function.
What does the job market look like in the upcoming new year? What are the trends? What are the shifts that we're seeing industry-wide? A lot of different questions heading into 2024 from all kinds of different sectors. What about inflation? How is this going to impact the job market? Well, let's bring in an economist that knows exactly what we're talking about and perhaps can shed some light on those trends. I'm joined now by Corey Stahl, economist for Indeed Hiring Lab. He has done a lot of work and focused on the U.S. labor market. Corey, good morning to you. So let's talk about the 2024 Jobs and Hiring Trend Report. Tell us what you're seeing. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for having me. So, I mean, overall, what we're seeing, I think, as you talked about, we're kind of nearing the end of 2023. And I think as we near the end of 2023, one of the most interesting things as we kind of reflect back on the year is that we really entered 2023, with a lot of people talking about how there might be a recession in 2023. There was a lot of kind of fear around, potentially what might happen with the Federal Reserve raising interest rates and inflation being where it was. But I think what's really notable here is that we didn't see that. So far, we have about a month left, but so far in a lot of the economic data we're looking at, that's something that we have not seen unfold. And so as we look forward to 2024, I think the big question that's on our minds as we kind of look forward to what we might expect is how can we repeat that same performance? How can we go into 2024 with strength? And I think really a lot of it's going to come down to doing the same things we did in 2023. What we saw was that employer demand was still pretty high. We saw a lot of employers still hiring at rates higher than it was before 2019. We also saw a lot of people entering the job market. We saw people kind of jumping around, quitting their jobs at elevated rates. We did see wage growth start to come down a little bit, but that's something that ultimately has helped somewhat in that fight against inflation that you mentioned. And I think probably most notable, something that's going to be really interesting to look at in 2024 is going to be generative AI. As we entered into 2023, nobody had heard about, generative AI and ChatGPT. And then all of a sudden these tools came onto the scene and we started seeing a lot of articles about people losing their job or their jobs being transformed. So I think as we go into 2024, really keeping an eye on these types of trends, on keeping an eye on the way in which generative AI is going to have an impact, is going to be very interesting.
Very interesting indeed, Corey. Thank you. So let's talk about the upcoming year. You're right, though. I mean, I can remember last year at this time, no one was really talking about AI. No one was talking about ChatGPT. But now you can't even go a few minutes without somebody talking about it. So let's talk about maybe the skills that'll be helpful for those job seekers in 2024, and beyond.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think ultimately, as we look at the skills, we talk a lot about, as you mentioned, we've heard so much about these types of generative AI skills. And I think what's going to be important for job seekers to know is that, despite everything we've heard about these jobs, it's still a pretty small percentage of the overall job postings on Indeed. If we look back just a couple weeks ago to the Indeed platform and job postings, what we've seen is that there's still, it's less than like 0.5% of jobs on Indeed that are actually asking for ChatGPT and things. So I think that for job seekers, I think really being able to embrace the technological changes of ChatGPT and generative AI is going to be a good thing. I think you should really jump on that. But I think you should also be aware that, it's still such a small fraction of overall job postings that really the jobs and the skills that are going to be important in this next year, in many ways, are going to be the skills that have been important before. We've seen that, software development in some areas have had kind of a pullback in the number of employers hiring, but we've also seen areas like nursing and manufacturing have continued to be really, really strong in terms of hiring. And so those skills in those types of areas, in-person skills, are going to continue to be really important going forward into the coming years. So again, I think you can embrace generative AI, but also don't forget that, human skills are really such an important part of many jobs. So even though ChatGPT and generative AI have a potential to impact these jobs, there are many things that each of us do in our jobs that cannot be replaced by those types of tools.
Good advice there, Corey. So let's talk about some tangible things that we can give employers and job seekers out there. If they're watching this and they're thinking about 6 weeks or so left until 2024, how would you get their mind right if you had to say maybe 2 or 3 things, bullet points, what they can expect, employers and job seekers, in 2024?
Yeah, so I think for employers, I think it's going to be key to really keep an eye on the labor market, and really understand the environment we're going into. We are coming off of this 2023 where the labor market was really resilient, but the labor market is still cooler than it was at the beginning of the year. But I think for many employers, I think they'll still be surprised that, again, the labor market is still a lot warmer than maybe they might expect. So continuing to try to compete for workers is going to be key in 2024, especially in some of the industries we mentioned, like in nursing and manufacturing. And so I think they can do that by really separating themselves with benefits and with advertising pay openly. I think there are ways to do that. For job seekers, I think it's also good to be cautiously optimistic going into 2024. Again, we're going into a labor market that's a little bit cooler, but there still are plenty of opportunities out there. And I think for both job seekers and employers, I think keeping an eye on the labor market at all times, on all of the different data that's coming out, is going to be key. And people can do that by going to hiringlab.org. And that's where we publish, this trends report, but also a lot of other economic research and this data that we produce at Indeed.
Anything else you want to mention before we let you go, Corey?
No, again, I think overall, what we're seeing in 2024 is just hopefully a path forward where we can carry forward with what we've seen in 2023. Because again, we're entering in a little bit different situation than we were in 2023, but still with some promise of continuing to work towards a case where inflation comes down and the unemployment rate doesn't go up. So right now we're still sitting pretty well, but we're going to want to keep an eye on that data that I mentioned.
No question about it. Corey Stahl, an economist at Indeed Hiring Lab. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for giving us the trends and the insights and what employers and job seekers can expect in 2024. Corey, thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Tech gifts, boy, they are always in demand, it seems, for the holiday season. But what many people don't know is that some of that new technology out there also comes with risks of explosions and fires from those lithium-ion batteries. You know how you go on a flight and they ask you if anything about those batteries, if you have anything that's checked in your luggage? Well, you know, those lithium-ion batteries can be pretty dangerous out there. Let's talk a little bit about some of those issues. I'm joined now by Jennifer Williams, a senior research specialist for the Fire Safety Research Institute. Jennifer, good morning to you. So we understand there's a Take Charge of Your Battery Safety campaign. Tell us what that is. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Thank you. Yes, Take Charge of Battery Safety is a public education campaign based off of the Fire Safety Research Institute's work to educate the public on ways that they can stay safe when choosing and also using their lithium-ion battery-powered devices.
Yeah, so, you know, we hear this all the time, Jennifer, when we get ready to board a flight. Do you have any kind of batteries in your luggage and that sort of thing? What does it mean? What does this campaign mean to take charge of battery safety?
Sure. Well, CHARGE is actually an acronym. Each letter stands for a safety reminder on how to take care of their device. So C is for choose certified products. We want to make sure that when you're picking out your products, you're looking for that label from a nationally certified testing laboratory. H, handle with care, only using the chargers that actually come with the device and making sure that you're caring for that device. A, for always stay alert. Make sure that you know what the warning signs are. If your device is damaged, you're sensing heat, maybe a strange odor, wispy smoke, stop using that device immediately. R, recycle those batteries. Never throw them in the trash. And if you have a question, reach out to your local recycling center. G, get out if there's a fire. We want you to use that fire escape plan. And E, educate others. And this campaign is a really great way to do that.
An obvious question here. Tell me some of the problems with the lithium batteries.
Sure. Well, it's really not obvious to everyone, and that's why we're here today. These lithium-ion battery-powered devices, once they overheat, they go into something called thermal runaway, and they can cause a fire that can leave you with less than 1 minute to escape. So this is a really pressing issue, and this is a critical time to learn what to do in advance.
I'm looking at that crazy video you just showed me. Is that from someone just kind of plugging in a device into the wall? Was that a phone? What was that?
So that was actually an e-bike, and this is one of our research experiments, but it's symbolizing what can actually happen if a device, especially one that is not certified or is using an improper charger, is left charging too long, maybe overnight. It can overcharge and overheat and cause a situation just like this. And it's why we also tell people to make sure to not charge these devices overnight if they can, but especially not in front of their doors or windows in case there is a fire. It's not going to block them from escaping.
Goodness. I mean, man, that video's pretty intense here. All right, so if someone has, you know, these devices, these, you know, various technology, laptops, phones, e-bikes that you just saw, what's the best advice for just staying safe and doing kind of the routine measures in order to charge your device, but do it safely?
Sure. Really, the acronym that I mentioned lists out the safety measures, but specifically with charging, again, not charging it in front of your windows or doors. So if you need to get out, you can. Don't charge it under a pillow. If it's possible, don't charge it near combustible materials. It's something that we never would have thought of before, but our research shows why this is so important.
Anything else you want to mention, Jennifer, before we let you go regarding this campaign and the safety of just, you know, charging these type of devices?
Sure. Well, we'd really love for your viewers to go to batteryfiresafety.org. They can watch our full new PSA video, and we have resources with facts and other information to download and share with their loved ones and community.
Batteryfiresafety.org. Jennifer Williams, we appreciate you illuminating us to the danger of those lithium batteries out there and making sure that you definitely adhere to proper care. Jennifer, thanks.
Thank you so much.
1 in 4 Americans say they don't do a good job recycling, and they're confused about what can be recycled and what cannot be recycled. And so understanding the myths and truths about recycling and what really happens to those plastic bottles when you toss them in the recycle bin, let's bring in someone to help us through and kind of sift through all this fact versus fiction. I'm joined now by Jeremy Walters. He is Sustainability Ambassador with Republic Services. Jeremy joining us on the digital desk. Jeremy, good morning to you. Thanks for being here. Let's talk about, first off, the efforts to recycle and how important they are. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, recycling is so fundamentally important when we talk about sustainability, but we got to do it right. And so think about recyclables as just as valuable as natural resources in which they were originally derived. So make sure that you do recycle these things. They can find second, third, fourth, fifth life and beyond, but they have to go in the recycling bin.
I get this question all the time with my kids and certainly others, neighbors, that sort of thing. The type of plastics that are supposed to be in the recycle bin, it really varies, and sometimes people just don't know. Is there like one just umbrella rule that you could say, okay, when you have this type of plastic, put it in the bin?
Yep, we can make it super simple. Don't focus on the numbers. Just focus on the characteristic. Think rigid plastic containers. So that's going to encompass a whole bunch of different types of bottles, jugs, and tubs. But again, rigid plastic containers.
That's a good, nice blanket kind of response there. I understand you have a number of different products in front of you. Are these all products that can be recycled?
Yeah, definitely. Aside from the paper, the cardboard, the metal cans, these are the types of plastic that you should be placing in the recycling bin. All excellent for recycling. Not so much this stuff. The flexible plastic is where there's a lot of confusion. That wraps and tangles around the sorting equipment. So leave that stuff out and just focus on the good stuff.
Got it. Okay, so rigid plastic, not the kind that just is always in motion, and those plastic bags. I hate those things. I always try to get paper when they ask paper or plastic at the grocery store. I'm always a paper kind of guy. Can you share some of the common myths when it comes to recycling, specifically recycling plastic?
Yeah, one of the most common ones that I hear all the time is that plastics recycling just simply doesn't happen. If you throw your recyclables in the bin, then we just throw them away, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. There's a misleading statistic out there that says only 5% of plastic gets recycled, and while there's a layer of truth to that, it doesn't tell the whole story. Plastic is all around us, from the bumper of your car to the keyboard on your desk. Not everything can be recycled. So when we look at the stuff that can, like a bottle, it actually has a recycling rate closer to 30%. And while that's vastly better than 5, there's still room for improvement. And that's because we're only putting 3 out of 10 bottles in the recycling bin to begin with. So we got to make sure that we recycle all of them.
Correct me if I'm wrong. A few years ago, I would put glass in my recycle bin. Did glass used to be part of the whole recycling aspects? And I don't do it anymore. Is it not a part of it anymore? Can you give me some guidance on that?
Yeah, so you'd want to check with whoever your specific service provider is on whether they accept glass in the commingled curbside bin. Some do curbside collection, but you have to put it in a separate bin. It depends on the processes at the recycling center where it goes. Glass is recyclable, but you also have to layer in the economics of it too. And once it goes through a recycling process, glass is heavy. And if there's no glass recycler within a few hundred miles of your municipality, the economics may not make sense. And then that's where maybe think about other ways to be more sustainable and reuse the glass.
Good idea. Good idea. Okay, you mentioned just briefly some other things that are recyclables, cardboard, that sort of thing. Can you just kind of just run over maybe some bullet points of what other things can go in the recycle bin other than rigid plastic?
Yeah, so metal food and beverage containers are great for recycling. Clean and dry paper and cardboard. And where I say clean and dry is because what is your pizza box made from? Pizza box is made from cardboard. Don't just go throw it straight in the bin. If the bottom's got grease and cheese on it, you can tear it in half, recycle the clean half, and then again, you can check with your local service provider on the acceptance of glass.
That's good. I like it. These are great to the point questions. Anything else you wanted to mention that we haven't touched on with regards to recycling that you feel is important to our audience? We have thousands of people that watch us on the digital desk.
Yeah, I'd say when it comes to recycling itself, there is a right way to do it. And while all these are great for recycling, you do want to rinse them out gently. Not a ton of water, but just a little bit of water goes a long way. You know, think of a ketchup bottle, for example. You don't want residual ketchup in there because if it spills out on this stuff, we do have to throw it away. So think empty, clean, dry. Like I said, a little bit of water goes a long way. Swirl it around, tap it dry, put the cap back on, and then you can throw it in the recycling bin.
Valuable information, Jeremy. Really quickly, where can we find some of this information online? Is there a place?
Yeah, recyclingsimplified.com, great website, lots of videos, tips, tricks, activities for the kids, and if there's any teachers out there watching, we do offer free downloadable curriculum.
All right, Jeremy Walters with Republic Services. We really appreciate you just giving us the deep download on how to recycle the good, bad, and what not to do. Thanks very much.
Thank you for having me.
Turn yourself up. They didn't hear you at all.
Alrighty, Dr.
Yes,
Can you
good
hear
morning.
me? Hey, good morning. So sorry I didn't have my mic on there this morning, but we are very glad you're here with us today here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. And so I know we are wrapping up Heart Month this February on this Leap Day today. And you guys have a new heart health risk assessment tool. Tell us more about it today.
Yes, good morning, Sydney. Thank you so much for having me today. As the saying goes, health is wealth, and Methodist is making it easier for our community to actually know more about their health. Yes, we have a free risk assessment survey that is actually available to individuals that are interested in doing this. This outlines the risk of heart disease. And as we know, heart disease is the leading cause death in the United States. You don't have to be a Methodist patient to participate in this health survey, and it is totally free. The survey itself is quick, it's easy, and very confidential. You can access this survey on the website of Methodist. It is methodisthealth.org. Again, it's methodisthealth.org, and it outlines the risk of heart disease, as I said. Why is this important? It's important because we know that heart disease actually can be preventable. So knowing our health risk earlier and trying to work on them can prevent heart disease down the road. I'm very sorry, Sydney. I lost
And I'm
audio.
so sorry about
I
that. You
didn't hear
can't
you
hear
well.
me. I'm so sorry. We're
Yes,
still getting the hang of everything over
yes.
here. But thank you for
Yeah.
your patience with me today. But I wanted to ask you, what kinds of questions do folks need to be asking, or what are they going to be asked through this health assessment?
Yes, so the survey is going to ask about age, it's going to ask about weight, height, your exercise habits, smoking habits, if you have personal history of heart disease, high blood pressure,
I understand family
cholesterol, or
history.
diabetes, and what is your stress level like? Yes,
Um,
and also what is your health level like? Also, if you have a primary care physician.
Yes, I was just getting to that. But before we talk about having a primary care physician, can you talk about why family history is so important? I know it's all about us as we fill out these assessments, but why is it important we look at things our family members have gone through?
Yes, this is very important because when there is a family history of heart disease, there is also likelihood of heart disease in that individual. The risk of heart disease increases in that individual. For heart disease, it is important for them to also know their risk factors, including hypertension, diabetes mellitus, and also high cholesterol. And this survey actually helps at least to start that journey. And depending on the risk score, you can work with the doctor in bringing the risk down to actually reduce the risk of heart disease down the road.
Doctor, I want to ask you also about stress. I know that is something so many of us deal with on a daily basis. How does stress factor our heart health?
Um, Stress is very important risk factor for heart disease, either directly or indirectly. Indirectly, stress causes hypertension, which is high blood pressure. And stress makes us eat even with a little more indiscretion, so we are at risk of high cholesterol and diabetes. And some people actually smoke to reduce the stress level, and that also leads to heart disease down the road. Stress causes us not to sleep well, also that increases the risk of heart disease down the road. So stress is very important, and directly also stress causes the heart to beat faster. And there are also some subset of individuals that we know that stress can cause their heart to be weak. So yes, so stress does play a very important role when it comes to heart disease. And
All right,
being able to manage it helps, yes.
Dr. Akinze, thank you so much for your time. I did want to ask you one more thing before we go. Where, again, can folks find this survey? How can they do it?
Yes, so this can be found on the website of Methodist. It's methodisthealth.org, methodisthealth.org. It is quick, easy, and confidential. And then it outlines the risk of a disease. And this is also still available even after the Heart Health Month is over.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say that. Heart Month is ending today, but still very important to obviously focus on it. So we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk.
Thank you very much, Stevie. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Have a good one. Alrighty, you guys are taking a live look at our Northwest Mississippi Community College cam right now. It is 39 degrees out there. Make sure you grab your coat this morning. 8:37. We'll be right back with so much more Action News 5 Digital Desk in just a moment.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Today, February 29th, the rarest day of the year, and really any year because we only get it once every 4 years. Of course, today, Leap Day. When you look at the Leap Day extremes, 76 the warmest back in 1932, the coldest 22 degrees in 1884, the wettest just over 1/4 of an inch of rainfall in 1880. If we continued to get the rain in here tonight, maybe one of the wettest, but I don't think we're going to get to the wettest here to break a record. But definitely have some rain on the way that for the 7th time on a Leap Day in recorded history here in the city of Memphis. Snowiest, actually, yeah, we have seen snow on Leap Day. Just under 2.5 inches. That was back in 1968. Now today, this Leap Day in 2024, lots of clouds across the area. Rain holding off, but we might see an isolated shower. Temperatures in the 30s early on to the 50s by the afternoon hours. Of course, we're waiting on some more sunshine. Warmer temperatures come back into the fold. They're not far off from moving back into the region. Today, though, lots of clouds, maybe a couple of peaks of sun, and you might catch a quick shower or two as we go through the back end of the day. The bulk of the rain holds off until after sunset. So when you're checking in with Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers tonight on Action News 5 at 10, probably going to be dealing with the rain on First Alert Doppler radar. And when you're joining us here on the digital desk tomorrow morning, most of the rain will have already passed and moved out of the region. This is looking 6 o'clock in the morning, getting out on the roadways for that morning commute. Probably still some opportunities for rain here and there in a few spots. Roadways still damp from the overnight rain, and the bulk of the rain exiting and the clouds hanging on tough as we head into your Friday afternoon. Now that's going to lead up to an issue of fog banks that could develop as we head through the overnight period of your Friday into early Saturday. Temperatures will start off in the 40s. Again, fog banks early on, sunshine to return, and a beautiful day expected with highs in the low 70s, upper 60s to low 70s for Saturday afternoon. And of course, we're in a gulch right now, but we're about to go running up that hill soon enough with the temperatures running about 10 to 15 degrees above average yet again, heading towards the early portions of the next week. And for some away from us up into the upper Midwest, some spots 30+ degrees above average. For us here in the Mid-South, again, as we go into your Saturday, starting off with some banks of fog, some clouds giving way to more sunshine through lunchtime, middle 60s, upper 60s, close to 70 as we get towards Saturday afternoon. Morning start in the 50s on Sunday. Yet again, morning clouds giving way to some sunshine breaks with highs in the middle 70s. A warm day and turning breezy on the backside of the day. Of course, those will be warmer breezes flowing in off the Gulf of Mexico ahead of our next weather maker. They'll bring us chances for rain and storms. They'll be building into the Mid-South, heading towards your latter portion of Monday, heading into Tuesday. Line of showers and thunderstorms moving through the area sometime during that time frame. We'll see how this all plays out. Now, keep in mind, we're heading into March, and you have to give that second look. Right now, not looking like severe weather, at least here locally, but could that change? Yeah, it's a possibility. We're several days out. So we'll be tracking it, keeping an eye on it, behind it, a little drier, but guess what? In the same vein as what we're dealing with this system right now, remember we just had a storm system come rolling through here the last couple of days, in the last 24 hours. That front's down to the south of us. Another area of low pressure formed behind it. Well, guess what? More than likely, same idea is going to happen here next week, and that will bring us another wave of rain likely towards the end of next week as well. So in the meantime, getting another wave of rain to move in here later on this evening into tonight. Temperatures will ease down to the lower 40s, 50s for highs for your Friday, low to mid 50s with a lot of clouds. Fog banks early on your Saturday, but I think we end up with a lot of sunshine. So if you've got plans to be out and about, Saturday and Sunday look to be fantastic. Turning breezy, though, late Sunday, leading up to the opportunities for some rain and storms during the day on Monday. But I think the bulk of our rain probably coming in here Monday night, leading into Tuesday. Now, depending on how quickly this front moves through the area, could have to up the rain chances going into Tuesday. And notice behind that system, there's not a huge drop in temperatures. If anything, we actually kind of hover in the same level in the upper 60s, close to 70, heading towards the mid portion of next week, leading up to the next wave of rain that could take us into the end of next week. Of course, you can see that on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. The 10-day forecast right there in the palm of your hand. You can also track any showers right there in the palm of your hand using the interactive radar function.
Okay, Andrew Douglas back here in the Action News 5 digital desk. I want to go now to one of our friends who gives us such great knowledge when it comes to getting a job, looking at the job market, resume help. Angela Copeland, she's Vice President of Recruiter.com. Angela, good morning. How are you?
Hey, thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate you making time for us because it is such a workers market out there. Employees really have a lot of options right now beginning in 2022. And we want to talk about resumes and the best way to let your resume kind of speak for yourself, stand out, and some of the mistakes that people make out there. But let's begin with making that resume stand out, Angela.
Well, this is such an exciting time to be looking for a job, but the thing that you need first is you need a resume. So even if you don't need a job today, but you're thinking sometime in the next few months, get started and have one ready. I think that is the first mistake that people make, is that they wait until someone says to me, email me your resume, and then they've got to start from scratch. And it's just like a total panic trying to get it together.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, no question. And so once you get that resume developed, what are some ways, I guess, that you could enhance that resume?
Sure, absolutely. I think the very first thing is you should do the resume yourself. Very often people want to hire someone to write their resume for them. It's a very attractive option, right? Because it's kind of a pain. You're shoving years of experience into 1 or 2 pages, and that's what I would suggest, is 1 whole page or 2 whole pages. But I've noticed that when people hire out their resume writing, sometimes there will be errors in it. So you really want to write your own resume. You want to pay very specific attention to things like spelling, because if you do have spelling errors, there's a chance they will just kick you right out. I would also think about the fact that a lot of hiring managers or HR professionals, they will read what is at the top of the first page first. And so really focus your energy on making that portion of your resume look good. Also, if there's a particular job you're applying to, closely read the job description and make sure that anything that's mentioned in the job description that you know how to do is also included in your resume. So the words that are in your resume are just as important as the actual sort of format and look and feel. I mean, it's like you wouldn't show up to an interview in shorts and flip-flops the same way that you want your resume to actually look polished and like you've put some work into it.
What are your thoughts, Angela, on cover letters?
This is such an interesting question. It's very controversial. A lot of people want to say that cover letters are no longer a thing. But I will tell you, when you're applying for a job, if there are 2 equally qualified candidates, of course, they're both going to have a resume. And if one has a cover letter, that one will be given special treatment. And in other words, the cover letter is a chance to really explain why you're a good fit for the job. And that's your chance to sell yourself, because when a hiring manager or a recruiter read through your resume, they're sort of figuring out why you're a good fit. Like, they're having to piece it together. But the cover letter is your chance to really explain it to them. So I would take the time to do a cover letter. You want to explain why you're interested in the job, why you're a good fit, and do summarize some of your background. So you will be repeating some of the things that are on your resume on your cover letter.
Yeah, great advice there. Are there, and you mentioned, making sure that you do the resume yourself so you get a nice, accurate depiction for that prospective employer. Are there any structures out there, Word, do they have any advantages when it comes to building that resume? Is there any place you can go to really kind of use, some software?
It's a good question. So the way that your resume looks, I really think it depends on the industry that you work in. If you work in a traditional industry like engineering, I would go with a much more straightforward look to your resume, like a more old-fashioned look. If you work in sort of a hip industry like marketing or possibly sales, I would look for something that's more stylized. So Microsoft Word does have templates. Interestingly enough, the website Etsy.com also sells resume templates that are really quite stylized and nice if you're working in marketing, for example. So there are places that you can look for these stylized, resume formats, but I would not use them unless you're working in an industry that is especially sort of hip and cool.
So on one of the websites, and I'm just looking here, my producer and I were checking this out. It mentioned something about the possibility of maybe adding hobbies or interests in a section on your resume, just to kind of, go with that work culture that a lot of corporations and a lot of different offices are going towards. What are your thoughts on maybe putting interests and hobbies on that resume?
It's a good question. There have been times in my own career where I have included hobbies and interests, and there have been times where I've absolutely left them off. So I would say it really is a case by case basis. I would think about why you're adding them. So for me, I started out, my undergrad is computer and systems engineering. I started out as a computer programmer. And when I was trying to get employers to see me as more than someone who writes computer code, I started including hobbies. But of course, I picked hobbies that were interesting, like travel, that could get a conversation going. Another potential place to include hobbies is if you're looking to transition away from your current industry, and if in some way your hobby aligns to the industry that you want to move into. So it's both really, am I trying to get an employer to just see me differently, or am I trying to get an employer to understand how I might fit into their industry?
Excellent, excellent. Now, there's something else when it comes to follow-up, because a lot of us, want to hear right back, right away, on demand. What's the employer? Are they interested? What do they think of this? What are your guidelines for following up after you send your resume?
That's a good question. I would say if you know who to contact, feel free to send them an email. Or if you've had an interview, send them a thank you email afterward. And, every, say, 2 weeks or so, it's appropriate to send a follow-up email. I would not send too many because you may be sort of labeled as sort of difficult or annoying, but you do need to get an answer. I would say don't assume that you will get a job, no matter how qualified you are for it. If you really need a new job, keep looking until a company actually gives you an offer, because anything could happen. Like, for example, they could put the position on hold completely, or the hiring manager could leave the company and they could decide not to hire the position, or they could decide to hire in the future. So just keep looking until you actually have a job offer in hand.
Okay, let's talk now about some of the mistakes that people make on those resumes. We've talked about the enhancements, now things that are completely wrong.
There are a number of things that people can really work on on their resumes. One of the big ones I would say is look at the email address that you're using on your resume. So a lot of folks like to use email addresses like AOL. And what that communicates to the employer is that you're a bit out of date in terms of technology, and you don't want that being the thing that you're communicating. So look for something like a Gmail email address that would be a good fit. You also, when it comes to email address, you want to use an email address that is related to your name. So not a hobby, not like horseback rider at AOL.com. And you also don't want to include anything in that email address that is an indication of your age. So many people will put their birth year in their email address or the year they graduated from high school. You want to steer clear of any of that information. I would leave off a photo. Do not include a photo of yourself on your resume. That is done in some countries, but in the US, people do not include photos on their resume. It's an unusual thing to do. So those are a couple of areas that I would start with. Again, keeping things honest and consistent. So look for errors that are spelling errors, but also make sure that you're not fibbing, because it could get back to your previous employer, and that's not how you want to start out with any new job.
Okay, so we got the resume all situated, all nice and pretty for everybody. Then you have to do something about your social media, right? Because a lot of times when we'll hear somebody or we'll meet somebody, they'll immediately go and see if they can find them on social media, and you want to make sure that's legitimate, right?
Well, so yes, it's interesting because 20 years ago, this was sort of a non-issue, but we've all been posting for the last so many years on Facebook, for example. And so there's a huge history of information available about us on the internet. If you are starting to launch a real job search and you're starting to have interviews, I would go in and at a bare minimum, I'd look at your privacy settings. Look and see what could someone see on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Instagram if they were not friends with you. Because you want to be sure that anything public really represents the brand that you're putting forward in the job interview. I do think this is a real issue. You know, many times you talk to job seekers and they assume that a company would never Google you and would never look things up about you, but they do. They really do. So you want to do it first and make sure that what's out there really represents you in the best way possible.
Okay, Angela, all great
I'm not
advice,
sure I
very
understand.
effective here. Can we, anything else you want to mention before we let you go regarding resumes, do's, don'ts, anything?
You know, I think the biggest thing is get started now. This is such an exciting time to be looking for a job, as you mentioned. And the last thing you want is to really be caught behind the 8 ball, so to speak. So update your resume, keep things quiet, but ask a close friend to proofread your resume for you because they will find errors that you may have missed.
All right, Angela Copeland, Vice President, Recruiter.com. Great advice. We appreciate it very much. And thanks so much. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Today, February 29th, the rarest day of the year, and really any year because we only get it once every 4 years. Of course, today, Leap Day. When you look at the Leap Day extreme, 76 the warmest back in 1932, the coldest 22 degrees in 1884, the wettest just over 1/4 of an inch of rainfall in 1880. If we continued to get the rain in here tonight, maybe one of the wettest, but I don't think we're going to get to the wettest here to break a record. But definitely have some rain on the way that for the 7th time on a Leap Day in recorded history here in the city of Memphis. Snowiest, actually, yeah, we have seen snow on Leap Day. Just under 2.5 inches. That was back in 1968. Now today, this Leap Day in 2024, lots of clouds across the area, rain holding off, but we might see an isolated shower. Temperatures in the 30s early on to the 50s by the afternoon hours. Of course, we're waiting on some more sunshine. Warmer temperatures to come back into the fold. They're not far off from moving back into the region. Today, though, lots of clouds, maybe a couple of peaks of sun, and you might catch a quick shower or two as we go through the back end of the day. The bulk of the rain holds off until after sunset. So when you're checking in with Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers tonight on Action News 5 at 10, probably going to be dealing with the rain on First Alert Doppler radar. And when you're joining us here on the digital desk tomorrow morning, most of the rain will have already passed and moved out of the region. This is looking 6 o'clock in the morning, getting out on the roadways for that morning commute. Probably still some opportunities for rain here and there in a few spots. Roadways still damp from the overnight rain, and the bulk of the rain exiting and the clouds hanging on tough as we head into your Friday afternoon. Now that's going to lead up to an issue of fog banks that could develop as we head through the overnight period of your Friday into early Saturday. Temperatures will start off in the 40s. Again, fog banks early on, sunshine to return, and a beautiful day expected with highs in the low 70s, upper 60s to low 70s for Saturday afternoon. And of course, we're in a gulch right now, but we're about to go running up that hill soon enough with the temperatures running about 10 to 15 degrees above average yet again, heading towards the early portions of the next week. And for some away from us up into the upper Midwest, some spots 30+ degrees above average for us here in the Mid-South. Again, as we go into your Saturday, starting off with some banks of fog, some clouds giving way to more sunshine through lunchtime, middle 60s, upper 60s, close to 70 as we get towards Saturday afternoon. Morning start in the 50s on Sunday. Yet again, morning clouds giving way to some sunshine breaks with highs in the middle 70s. A warm day and turning breezy on the backside of the day. Of course, those will be warmer breezes flowing in off the Gulf of Mexico ahead of our next weather maker. They'll bring us chances for rain and storms. They'll be building into the Mid-South, heading towards your latter portion of Monday, heading into Tuesday. Line of showers and thunderstorms moving through the area sometime during that time frame. We'll see how this all plays out. Now, keep in mind, we're heading into March. And you have to give that second look. Right now, not looking like severe weather, at least here locally. But could that change? Yeah, it's a possibility. We're several days out. So we'll be tracking it, keeping an eye on it, behind it, a little drier. But guess what? In the same vein as what we're dealing with this system right now, remember we just had a storm system come rolling through here the last couple of days, in the last 24 hours. That front's down to the south of us. Another area of low pressure formed behind it. Well, guess what? More than likely, same idea is going to happen here next week, and that will bring us another wave of rain likely towards the end of next week as well. So in the meantime, getting another wave of rain to move in here later on this evening into tonight. Temperatures will ease down to the lower 40s, 50s for highs for your Friday, low to mid 50s with a lot of clouds. Fog banks early on your Saturday, but I think we end up with a lot of sunshine. So if you've got plans to be out and about Saturday and Sunday, look to be fantastic. Turning breezy, though, late Sunday, leading up to the opportunities for some rain and storms during the day on Monday. But I think the bulk of our rain probably coming in here Monday night, leading into Tuesday. Now, depending on how quickly this front moves through the area, could have to up the rain chances going into Tuesday. And notice behind that system, there's not a huge drop in temperatures. If anything, we actually kind of hover in the same level in the upper 60s, close to 70, heading towards the mid portion of next week, leading up to the next wave of rain that could take us into the end of next week. Of course, you can see that on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. The 10-day forecast right there in the palm of your hand. You can also track any showers right there in the palm of your hand using the interactive radar function.
Good morning and thank you for joining us right back here on the Action News 5 digital desk. It is nice and chilly out there, 39 degrees. So we are talking about food and budgeting when it comes to those meal preps. I know it can be pretty tough to meal prep all the time, but that is why we have experts here to talk all about that kind of stuff. And so joining me this morning, we actually have a chef. Jamie Gwynn is here with us today. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us right here on the digital desk. How you doing?
Glad to be with you, Sydney. Thank you. I'm doing well. I think it's so funny. You mentioned how chilly it is, and we're highlighting frozen food. It makes me think of the chill factor. But I'll tell you, this might be far more delicious, guaranteed, than that chilly weather. We're celebrating National Frozen Food Month, and I actually have cost-saving meal prep ideas for you that I think will delight.
Jamie, let's talk about it. Everyone likes to save money. We know inflation's been really hitting those pockets at the grocery store. So
No doubt.
let's talk about the financial aspect of it before we get into all the food I see on your
Sure.
screen.
Into all the goodness, of course. Convenience and affordability are key when it comes to the frozen food aisle. And as a professional chef, I will tell you, I shop the frozen food aisle a lot because it's come a long way. It has evolved. It has become innovative. The nutrient benefits are there because of the extraordinary technology in flash freezing. But when it comes to saving money and saving time, according to a recent survey by the National Frozen and Refrigerated Foods Association, 8 out of 10 parents with young children, of which I am one, finds it easier to have frozen food option on hand at all times. And 64% say that it has helped combat rising grocery costs. Why? Because you're buying more portion controlled. It's limiting spoilage of the fresh ingredients that you might be buying. And there is a brilliant benefit to frozen food with rising, skyrocketing prices. I think that you'll find you're going to get sometimes better flavor. You're certainly going to save time and you get a whole lot of convenience. So we'll talk about that, but there's no doubt this is a good way to budget.
Let's talk about the health aspects of it when it comes to frozen food. I know sometimes people feel like it's not the healthiest option, but there are ways to make this food healthy.
That's true. I agree with you. But you know what? The cookie aisle isn't always the healthiest option either. I mean, I think you have to know what you're looking for. And I believe in splurge worthy at times. And I believe, everything in moderation. There is a lot of healthy, wonderfully delicious, and fresh tasting food, I would like to say, in the frozen food aisle. It's all real food. It's just frozen. The flash freezing technology, what started as what we call IQF, right? It started with frozen fruit. You pick fresh raspberries, for instance, at the peak of the season, and you freeze them individually quick frozen so they don't stick together in the bag, right? But those are the sweetest raspberries at the peak of their time. If you buy raspberries today in the market, in the produce section, they might not be as sweet, depends on the season, right? That flash freezing technology not only gives you fabulous flavor, but it locks in the nutrients. It's why we freeze fish for texture and quality on the boat. And that same rule applies to the frozen food section. In the freezer section today, you also get pre-washed and chopped and prepped ingredients. So now you're getting the health benefits. You have food on hand that's delicious, and it makes your day easier. It's innovation and versatility.
Hey, I'm all about saving time when it comes to cooking, being at the grocery store, getting home and chopping all that stuff up. So I think that is so important. Right. Let's talk about some of the things that you're cooking. I was on your Instagram page, and a lot of that food looks really, really good. I think I saw some beef stroganoff that looked amazing.
Okay, that one, I've got to tell you, that recipe is unbelievably good. It's a meatball stroganoff using frozen meatballs. So I can just tell you selfishly, in our house, I have a 4-year-old. Pizza and chicken nuggets will always have their place. But we have other favorite ingredients. And the frozen food aisle has actually been an amazing way to get my 4-year-old to eat more. So Sydney, if you consider, or I should say, eat a more varied amount of foods. If you consider, we love frozen pot stickers. I will quickly, saute them so they're crispy on the outside and steamed on the inside with soy and black vinegar. But then what can you do with that bag of meatballs you mentioned, or with the pot stickers, right? Why not make an under 10 minutes easy pot sticker veggie soup? Frozen veggies, peak of the season, frozen. I love the frozen asparagus for spring. And the pot stickers, ginger, garlic, chicken broth, easy peasy, fabulous, right? Crispy butterfly shrimp into a lettuce wrap with a creamy, lovely sauce. I use my son's favorite crispy chicken in a wrap for lunch. It's out of this world. This is so cool. Why not think about your favorite frozen waffle? We are a frozen waffle family. Super easy for breakfast, right? But I like to fold them and nestle them into my air fryer basket. When they get crispy, they look like a taco. That's a waffle taco. Now we're repurposing that frozen waffle that everybody loves. I filled it with barbecue chicken and a little coleslaw, and my kiddo loves them. Sweet potato puffs, better for you, so delicious. And last but not least, I love phyllo. It's crispy and flaky, and I filled it with ricotta and frozen berries that I use to make a compote. It's just that good. The freezer aisle, the frozen food section, is limitless. So please check it out. Go to easyhomemeals.com, by the way, for these recipes.
Well, it sounds like the frozen meals, the freezer can be your friend, is what I was trying to say.
Yes.
One quick thing before I let you go. I know you have a bit of some prizes folks can win. Can you tell me a little bit about that before you go?
Yes. Of course. Thank you for asking. For National Frozen Food Month in March, we are celebrating at easyhomemeals.com. 10,000 in prizes and appliances to win. So enter for free. By the way, I am not eligible, Sydney, so I hope you win. easyhomemeals.com. And I'll see you on social platforms at Chef Jamie Gwen.
All right, Chef Jamie Gwen, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for those delicious, inspiring frozen meals. I know I'll be putting some of those in my back pocket. We appreciate you here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk.
And I loved being with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, stick with us. We've got a lot more news coming up, and of course, another look at your forecast. Right now, you are taking a live look at your Northwest Mississippi Community College cam. We'll be right back after this break. A very windy Wednesday. We've got a lot in store for you if you've been just tuning in to us, and we're going to have someone joining us here in just a second. Pastor Gerald Kiner, he's with Daughters of Zion, here to chat with us about a food truck, but this is a special kind of food truck that he is going to be sharing more with us about. So let's get right on over to Pastor Gerald Kiner. Pastor, how you doing this morning? All right, can you hear me now? There we go.
Yes, thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thanks so much for being with us. Before we get started, do you mind turning your camera around horizontally for us? Are you able to do that?
Okay.
There we go. Perfect. There we go.
Good.
Awesome, awesome. Looking amazing. Really appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about this food truck. What's it all about?
Well, it's called the Homeless Food Truck, and it's designed to do just what it says, to feed the homeless, but not only to feed the homeless, it's designed to attract the homeless so that we can provide services to the homeless.
What other kind of service are you guys providing?
So we try to place the homeless into homes, number one. We don't want them to have reoccurring issues of homelessness, and a lot of the homeless don't have their identification. So we try to get them connected, to get them registered so they can get back into the system and get their ID, try to get them connected with their Social Security benefits. We try to get them connected to mental health services if necessary. We try to get them connected to other shelter services. So we have a lot of the kids that are homeless on the street. So we're trying to get them connected back into the school system. We're trying to get their parents, of course, working. We have a CNA program, Certified Nursing Assistant program. We also have a college that we have services for. We're connected to high school GED programs where we can help people get their GED. We can help people get their high school diploma. So it's a full array of services to help to prevent reoccurring issues of homelessness. It's not just feeding them, because if we're just feeding them, then they're going to need food forever. But if we help to elevate them, then prayerfully we can put them in a position that can get them out the street and becoming independent.
Absolutely. So, Pastor, can you kind of talk about how this all came about? Where did this idea come from? And is this the first time you guys have done something like this?
Well, it's most definitely an idea that for me as a pastor, I know came straight from God. Just to be able to, again, figure out a way to crack the code. You know, how can we reach out to the homeless community? How can we let people know that we care? How can we make a difference in the lives of homeless people. And of course, I'm a foodie. I love food, and I don't know too many people who don't love food. And I know that there are a lot of food trucks in Memphis. We mentor a lot of businesses, over 1,100 businesses in our Daughters Design Micro Business Center. And in that Micro Business Center, we have a lot of food trucks, probably about 50 different companies that run food trucks. So just knowing a lot of people in the food truck industry and seeing a lot of people homeless, the idea just hit, hey, why don't we have a homeless food truck? Since most food trucks, they drive right past the homeless. So I wanted to have a food truck designed to go to the homeless where they don't have to pay anything. They look forward to getting a great meal. I just hired one of our members who had moved to Mississippi. She's a chef named Cynthia Washington. So I just hired her to move back to Memphis so that she can be the full-time chef cooking for the food truck. So they get a good meal. We have partners throughout Shelby County, from Collierville, Panel Bread, Germantown, Miss Cordelia in downtown. So we have McDonald's, Houston Levy. We have a lot of different businesses that are working with us in addition to hiring our own chef to make sure that we attract those people that are homeless and let them know, number one, that the people of Shelby County care. And it's our job as the talented 10th, taken from W.B. Du Bois' book, The Soul of Black Folks, but it's our job as the talented 10th, whether we're black, whether we're white, whether we're red, brown, it's our job to reach back into the community to let the less fortunate know that they're not forgotten and that we can help them elevate themselves.
Pastor Connor, what can folks do to get involved? If people are watching this right now, we get thousands of folks watching the Digital Desk all over Memphis and Shelby County. If they are seeing this right now and they want to step up, they want to help, what can they do? Should they reach out to you?
Number one, they can call our 24-hour hotline, 901-570-3220. That number again is 901-570-3220. Or they can go to our website, homelessfoodtruck.com, homelessfoodtruck.com, and they can donate food, they can volunteer, they can help us identify other areas in the city, in the county, where they know large populations of people that are on the street that are homeless that we can take their food truck to and provide them services. So we really need to know where the homeless population is so that we can make sure that we are going to them and not only feeding them, but giving them the services that they need to help prevent them from staying on the streets forever. So that would be a great, great blessing just to give us the knowledge and the intellect to know where to find the homeless. And again, to volunteer to help us, because a lot of times when we're dealing with restaurants that are donating, we don't have time to go serve the homeless and go pick up food. So if we had people, volunteers who can go and pick up food, that'd be great as well.
I want to ask you this. I was looking at the photo and it looked like you guys were downtown. So I imagine downtown's an area you'll be in. Can you kind of reiterate other parts of the city that y'all hit? Because you made it the point that they are going to the homeless. The homeless don't have to come to them.
Right. So we've been established for 2 weeks in our primary area right now, because it's the largest population of people that we see on the street has been downtown. But for example, we've been posting on Facebook to let people know, hey, if you know areas where a large segment of the homeless population are hanging, like under bridges, let us know so that we can go to those areas as well. So that's one of the reasons why we're asking for the volunteers to call their number and to let us know throughout the community where you see large segments of the homeless population, so we can take that food truck and make that a regular stop as well.
Now, I know you guys obviously are focusing on the services, the resources you're offering, but we got to talk about the food. So can you explain what other food and what types of food is going to be offered on this truck?
Well, number one, again, we brought in Chef Cynthia, and she specializes in a lot of good soul food. So, for example, yesterday she had the baked chicken, she had greens, she had pinto beans. We also get assistance from the Collierville Pizza Hut. So we are sometimes they love pizza. And you'll be amazed when we bring them McDonald's cheeseburgers, double cheeseburgers. They're like going crazy over the cheeseburgers. I'm like, you want the cheeseburgers over the soul food? And many of them want the cheeseburgers even over the soul food, because think about it. They can't go into McDonald's and pay for a cheeseburger. But all of us grew up on McDonald's basically. So just the small things that we take for granted, even bottled water, we take for granted, where when we get thirsty, we can go to a water fountain on our job, so we can bring bottled water from home. But the homeless, when they're thirsty, they just can't go into certain buildings sometimes and ask for water. So bottled water even is one of the most requested items that the homeless ask for. And it never dawned on me the significance of just a bottle of water for the homeless, to be able to, when they're walking and to get thirsty, they have no place to go a lot of times in the parks. When I grew up in the parks, all the parks had water fountains. But today, I see no park with a water fountain. So when you see the homeless congregating in parks, there are no water fountains for them to drink. So just bottled water is significant. You have no idea on how touching it is when people are looking for bottled water to drink, just basic necessities that we take for granted. So those food choices, such as spaghetti, we'll make sure they get spaghetti with the noodles. One of my church members, she made a giant pan of chicken Alfredo. That was a major hit. So we try to give them food that we would eat, because again, I'm a foodie. So I want to make sure that they're getting the best food, that they would get a home cooked meal that they love. Because again, I taste everything before we feed anybody. So it's a hit with the homeless. But again, just a bottle of water makes a difference.
Absolutely making a ton of differences. That's something that your organization, your church is doing. I love to hear about this, especially when you highlight things so simple as bottled water. Thank you so much for your time. Again, this is Pastor Gerald Kiner. You're with the Daughters of Zion. You guys have a homeless food truck, and as we talked about, folks can volunteer. They can come help you guys out. We'll have all this information.
Digital Desk. We always like to check in with our friends at Google to see what kind of search trends we saw on any given month. Of course, it's towards the end of February right now. We want to look and see what we searched as a country. And certainly it is interesting to see where things are. We're joined now by Justin Burr, Google Trends expert, to see where we are at the month of February. And Justin, good morning. It looks like a lot of things that were in the news, in entertainment, no matter what the topic. It looks like Taylor Swift certainly made the headlines in more ways than one. Good morning.
Absolutely, yeah. February, a short month, but a lot of stuff going on. We had the Grammy Awards, so Taylor Swift trending for her musical talent there. She announced a new album, Tortured Poets Department, and so there was big search interest around that. Obviously, we had the Super Bowl. She was also a part of that. So Taylor Swift trending in a lot of categories, a lot of stuff going on in February.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, and I guess the Lunar New Year traditions. That was kind of interesting. And then I see, I always like seeing what people in our area searched. Any idea? It looks like Tennessee. What did they search for before Valentine's Day?
Yeah, before Valentine's Day. So there's a few things going on. Let's talk a little bit broader here. So Lunar New Year, which you just mentioned. So in Tennessee, people were searching for red envelopes above decorations and above parade. And then if you also look at some of the trends around Black History Month, in Tennessee, people were searching for Black-owned wine above all other products within Black History Month as well, which is a fun one. For Valentine's Day, the most searched date activity for you all was relaxation. So people in Tennessee were trying to gift relaxation to their loved one here on Valentine's Day.
That's a great idea. And it's funny, our meteorologist, Justin, he said Valentine's Day is more like Singles Awareness Day with the acronym SAD. And and he mentioned, and it's so funny that I have, odd news. I always look at the odd news category to just see what people are searching. Give us some insight on that.
Yeah, so you mentioned Single Awareness Day, SAD. Also in that category, credit score dating app. That search interest rose by over 600%. And that is literally a dating app that will match people based on their credit score, which is pretty funny. So that was an interesting one. Also, the Curacao and the Cayman Islands were trending as the top solo travel destinations for February. And then also best meal kit for singles. So a lot of single search interest here in February to maybe counteract all the Valentine's Day search interest.
I love it. I've done an interview before, Justin, where this one singles person, he talked about how a credit score is very attractive, a high credit score, obviously. I notice I'm a big sports fan. NBA All-Star Weekend, all kinds of searches coming out of that, huh?
Yeah, NBA All-Star Weekend was great. There was a lot of search interest because Stephen Curry was going against a three-point contest against WNBA superstar Sabrina Ionescu, which was awesome. So a ton of search interest around that, and there was a lot of states that were searching more so for Sabrina over Steph. Steph won by 3 points. So there was a lot of search interest there. It's always a fun weekend to watch the NBA guys, but I think the most fun for me was watching that three-point contest between the WNBA and the NBA.
I'm a sucker for that too. I love the three-point contest. Anything else? I see something about, is tea good for headaches? Is tea good for working out? Diverticulitis? What's going on there, Justin?
Yeah, there was a lot of tea interest. U.S. search interest around tea reached an all-time high in February, so that's interesting. Also, in the kind of morning drink game, latte perfume. That increased by 2,500% search interest around that. So people trying to smell like lattes, they're trying to drink lattes. I don't know, but somehow February was a big latte perfume month.
Love is in the air, right? Whether you're drinking coffee, whether you're drinking teas, certainly the case. Justin Burr, we really appreciate you guys breaking it down for us. All the trends across the country and across the world with Google. Justin, thanks.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right. Another
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We're off to a chilly morning, but we're talking about something way more fun than the cold. We are talking about how the fact that it is red carpet season and we all want to look our best, whether you're on the red carpet or not. But we've got an expert here to join us to talk about all the red carpet beauty trends and secrets that they do over there. So joining me now, we are going to have Emily Loftus here with us. Emily, thank you for joining us right here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. How you doing?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So let's talk about it. I'm excited because I love beauty tips, beauty tools, all the things, especially as we get closer to the summertime. I think about my tan and that glow. Can we talk about what tips you want to share with us today?
Absolutely. Oh, I've got some good tanning tips at the end. So I'm going to tell you what's happening right now in Hollywood. Jeremy Allen White, who is the star of The Bear, his makeup artist swears that LED light therapy completely changed his skin. And then Margot Robbie, who of course is Barbie and that has an amazing physique, she swears by lymphatic drainage massage. And then Cillian Murphy has those killer Oppenheimer cheekbones, and his makeup artist used a $70 Tom Ford bronzer and Chanel brush.
Sorry, Emily, having some audio issues, but I hope you can hear me okay now. You talked about the bronzer. I want to try out that bronzer. I've heard of it. I've heard great things. But I see you've got some products in front of you, but really I want to focus on those things that, you know, the everyday person can buy, those over-the-counter things that really are going to help us make look and feel our best.
Oh, I got you right here. So first, let's start with skin. So Olay, the experts in glowing skin from head to toe, introduced their new Ultra Moisturizing Indulgent Moisture Body Wash Collection. This is their most premium body wash experience to date, featuring a rich immersive lather and premium scents like notes of rose and cherry cream, infused with silky moisturizers and vitamin B3 that penetrate the skin surface to take the skin from dull and dry to glowing with confidence in just 14 days. And I love how the innovative dual-phase formula allows each ingredient to shine. Here's the best part, Sydney. It is available for only $12.99 at major retailers.
Hey, Emily, I wanted to ask you about making a memorable fashion statement. I know sometimes in the office it can be a little intimidating to do that because, you know, we're used to the everyday, but we can make fashion statements in our everyday lives. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. I've been styling clients from the red carpet to boardrooms to offices to even stay-at-home moms to elevate their own personal style. And it's all about rocking it with confidence. I love bright colors, color blocking, the louder the better, but maybe you are a classic beauty and you want to wear black and white and gray and cream and wear pearls. Or maybe you're even bohemian and you like loose-fitting garments or muted colors. It really doesn't matter what your personal style is. You just need to rock it with complete confidence.
I know a lot of the young girls are really into the skincare these days. Why is that such an important part of the entire look?
Oh, skin is everything. It covers your entire body. So it's very important that you take care of your skin. And I have something that actually talks about your whole body, especially under these bright lights. And when you're on the red carpet, you need a little bit of protection. And my secret is the new Secret Whole Body Deodorant, designed with every woman in mind to provide 72 hours of clinically proven odor protection from your pits to your bits. It's available in 3 forms, spray, stick, and cream, and comes in 2 scents. And my favorite is the Peach Vanilla Blossom. The collection is both gynecologist and dermatologist tested, and I love that it is made with intentional ingredients, free from aluminum, baking soda, phthalates, and parabens, so you can confidently apply it everywhere, including underarms, chest, thighs, and toes.
Hey, Emily, I know I have some other questions for you. A lot of times, many of us, we're tired. We are stressed out. We've got a lot going on in our lives every day. Are there any steps that we should be taking when it comes to our sleep or just anything like that as far as getting rest to help us look our best?
Oh, well, I'm a very tired working mom, so sleep isn't really what I do best. But I do believe, because back in the day, I was a professional dancer, so I know what to do, and I try to implement these things, is to drink enough water, is to do some quality me time, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, even at the end of the day while you're doing your skincare routine, to kind of just decompress. You make sure you don't have your phone near your bed and you don't scroll at night. I love having a sound machine, earplugs, face mask. I do it all. And if you exercise, it really does wear your body out so you can rest at night. Even if you don't have time to do a full workout, even if you can do 20 minutes or just even walk around the neighborhood, walk your dog, walk the stroller around, just to get your body moving, it does make a difference with your sleep.
Well, thank you so much, Emily. Before I let you go, I want for all the gals who are watching this morning, where can they get more information with all these wonderful tips you've provided today?
Absolutely. You're going to head on over to tipsontv.com. And we never made it to the last point, which was the last red beauty carpet tip, which is for me, if you can't tone it, tan it. Throw on some self tanner, some highlight on your cheekbones, and I promise your skin is going to look brighter and healthier and younger. Your eyes are going to look whiter. Your teeth are going to look whiter. And, I just think the world's a better place when you're tan.
Hey, I feel you, Emily. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Digital Desk, the Action News 5 Digital Desk, with all those amazing beauty tips. We appreciate your time.
Until next time.
All right, guys, stay with us right here on Action News 5. There is so much more coming up right here on the Digital Desk. We've got to go to a quick break. Right now, a live look outside of the Northwest Mississippi Community College. You see that camera shaking. It's windy out there. Grab your coats. 9:35 in the morning. We'll be right back.
How do you feel? You're getting it? Let's talk about a new initiative from AARP that helps people near retirement take steps for preparing their financial future. Have you heard of pre-tirement? That is one of the words we are talking about today with our latest guest here, Mary Liz Burns, Senior Director of Communications Strategy at AARP. Mary, good morning to you. Tell us about this pre-tirement word. What's it all about? Good morning.
Good morning to you, too. Thanks for having me on. So retirement is that time in your life when you're thinking about what retirement could look like, but you maybe are not as prepared as you think that you are. And there's certain steps you want to take so you can become confident in retirement. And that confidence is the real challenge. Most people are very anxious and fearful about the future. 1 in 5 don't have any retirement savings, and 2/3 of folks feel that they're going to outlive their savings. So AARP and the Ad Council launched these brand new ads and a new free website that really take that retirement fear out of your head in the form of a creature that you can talk to. And the creature looks a little scary at the beginning, but actually as you talk to it, you realize there's just a few small steps you can take that make that retirement fear disappear. And a lot of those steps are right at our website, thisispretirement.org, where you can take a quiz or you can build your own personalized retirement savings action plan.
So let's talk about some of those first steps, Mary. I mean, if there's someone out there that really hasn't started planning for retirement, what are some of the first steps they can take?
First of all, know you're not alone, and do not feel any shame or fear about it. There are a lot of people who are having a real hard time making ends meet as well as saving for your future. But there are a couple things you can do. If you've got a retirement savings work plan at work that you're not contributing to, like a 401k, just contribute a little bit and watch that money grow. And second, if you haven't done a budget in a while, even looking at your bank statements, what's going in and out, really analyze those, take a look, see if there's some places where you can divert some of that savings into savings for retirement, or figure out where you need to really focus on some of those debt and expenses you want to eliminate so you've got more room.
What about those people that are close to retirement, let's say 5 years or less? What are some ways that they can start saving aggressively to try and, I guess you could say, catch up?
We hear from a lot of people who are just really worried. They start to panic that they're about ready to retire and not sure if they're going to have enough to be able to live on. Here's what we say. First is you want to maximize your savings. So you can do a catch-up contribution at your workplace, which means you can just put a little bit more in and watch it grow. You also need to look at your debt and think about what retirement looks like if you bring all this debt into it. So many people have credit card debts, month-to-month balances. We have a lot of great tips on the website website to help you get that debt under control. And don't forget to think about Social Security, when you're going to claim it and how to maximize it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, and you brought up debt, I mean, people are going to have to go in multiple ways here. And, they're going to have to try and stay on a budget, pay off debt. Do you offer, or does AARP offer some strategies to do all these things at the same time?
We've got a lot of great resources besides This Is Pretirement at arp.org/money tools. But on This Is Pretirement, we have a lot of ways you can think about what comes first and looking at ways to conquer the best debt for you that makes the most sense. People are really struggling. I do believe you can do it all, but you may not be able to do all of it all at the same time. So you just try to at least focus on what's keeping you up at night. If it's debt, then you need to focus on debt. But if you can put aside a little bit for savings for your future, it'll make a big difference.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, Mary Liz Burns, Senior Director of Communication Strategy at AARP, talking about thisispretirement.org. Mary, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so very much.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's tax season, and April 15th is approaching. It's still a few months off, but you got to get your taxes ready, your forms ready, and be ready for, seeing what the government's going to take from you, or perhaps you get some stuff back. Let's bring in a tax expert, Lisa Green-Lewis, CPA, tax expert for TurboTax, joining us on the digital desk. Lisa, I appreciate you being here. Can you tell us maybe some new things for 2024 that we should be aware of when it comes to tax season? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, so the first one I want to highlight is inflation adjustments. So they're adjusted every year, but for tax year 2023, they were adjusted the most we've seen in decades, about 7%. So that's really going to help tax filers because one of them is the standard deduction, and about 90% of tax filers take that deduction. So if you're single, it went up to $13,850. Married filing jointly, it's $27,700. Then there's the Inflation Reduction Act. A lot of those provisions really kick in this for tax year 2023, and those were expansions of energy efficient credits. So energy efficient credits for your home as well as electric vehicles. And then the next one I want to highlight, it's not new, but it has to do with the COVID relief provisions going away. Last season, they did go away, and so people were saying they saw lower refunds. And some of those provisions, like the child tax credit, they're still available. So I just want to highlight that, but they did go back to pre-COVID amounts. So child tax credit was up to $3,600. It went back to up to $2,000 for each dependent child.
I want to go back to what you mentioned, and by the way, thank you. Those are some great tips. You mentioned something about getting some credit for energy efficient home aspects. Can you talk a little bit about where people can get into or get money back from energy efficient homes?
Yes. So if you put energy efficient, for instance, windows in your home, you can get up to $1,200 credit on your taxes for those. And it was $500. So it's gone up. And also before the expansion in the law, it was a $500 lifetime credit. So that was it. But now they got rid of the lifetime aspect. And so you can get $1,200 a year on that credit. And then also there's an additional $2,000 for heat pumps.
Heat pumps, okay. What else? Where the most mistakes are made when it comes to people doing their taxes every year?
I would say waiting until the last minute to do your taxes, because when you wait till the last minute, you can leave something out. So a form that reports income, and also, forms or receipts that have expenses that can be deductible. And then also, there's some missed credits and deductions that people miss every year. The IRS reports every year about 1 out of 5 people miss the earned income tax credit. And that's also one that was adjusted for inflation. For a family with 3 kids, it's $7,430.
And tell us again about the earned income tax credit, how that works and who qualifies.
Yeah, so it's a credit, and you have to be working. So you can have an employer or be self-employed. And it's based on your income, and it's usually lower to moderate income earners can get this credit. And then depending on your income, and also the credit goes up depending on how many kids you have.
Okay, that's good to know. Lisa, valuable advice here. Anything else you want to share with our viewers? We have thousands of people that watch us each and every day here on the Digital Desk. Anything else?
Yes, I was just going to share, if people need help with their taxes, they can come to TurboTax, and they can fully hand their taxes over to our TurboTax Live experts and meet with them virtually, or new this year, they can meet with a local pro in their area.
Okay, Lisa Green-Lewis, CPA, tax expert for TurboTax. We appreciate you coming on the Digital Desk and really kind of shedding some light on what people need to watch for this tax season. Lisa, thank you.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk on a really beautiful morning. Thanks for joining us today. We have someone very special joining us all the way from Canada to talk about the top 5 careers that are booming amongst African American professionals. And so here with me this morning is Miss Ino Eka. I hope I'm saying your name properly. How you doing this morning?
You are. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about what you wanted to share with us today.
Absolutely. So today I wanted to talk about top careers for Black professionals, especially as this is Black History Month and we wrap up Black History Month, highlighting industries such as banking and finance, business and IT consulting, government, healthcare, and retail. These are top industries that Black professionals can focus on. And also within the tech space, because there's a lot of opportunities within AI, cybersecurity, business analysis, data analysis, and product management. So these are areas I'm recommending Black professionals to start to transition their careers into because these are booming careers.
I want to ask you, you talk a lot about the tech space, and that can be so broad. So can you tell me about some of those specific positions for folks who are trying to break into that particular industry?
Absolutely. So within the tech industry, there's so many opportunities. But if we want to look at where is booming right now, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, business analysis, data analysis, project and product management, these are specific careers within the tech space that Black professionals can get into. And these careers are not only lucrative, but there's a lot of opportunity for growth. In a recent study by McKinsey, I saw that there are only about 8% of professionals in tech who are Black. According to techreport.com, 62% of professionals in tech are white, 20% are Asian American, and 8% are Latinx. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth for us Black professionals in tech.
I know you're talking a lot about growth, and I mean, when it comes to careers in AI, tech, all of that, these are careers that are really, we're seeing a boom amongst all different genders, races, but why are these particular jobs, why are they particularly good for those in the African American community?
So the opportunities, first of all, are we need more diversity in these companies, and so that's where we can actually show up. Secondly, is that as Black professionals, we have been at the forefront of technology. If you look at a lot of the technological innovations that we see right now, they were spearheaded by Black scientists and researchers. And so we have always been in the STEM space. And I'm advocating for STEM careers because we need more innovation, we need more researchers. And the truth is, technology, the world revolves around technology. And so if we can become a part of this industry and showcase our intelligence, that would really help to, of course, increase the diversity, but also bring STEM careers back into the Black community.
You say bring them back. Can you kind of expand on that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically what we're seeing in the last decade or so is that a lot of Black professionals have always felt like they needed to be a doctor or a nurse to contribute to the society. But that's not true. Within tech, you can be a part of companies that are innovating, that are creating new technologies, emerging technologies that are solving a lot of issues. For example, within healthcare, there's a lot of opportunities within healthcare. There's farm tech, there's biotech, right? And these are opportunities where even though you want to be in the medical field and you can't be a doctor or a nurse, you can still support technological advancements in healthcare. So sharing light on how technology can still be a part of every industry and how we as Black professionals can still take up space in these industries.
What conversations do you think parents should be having with their teens, with their college students as they get ready to enter the workforce?
Absolutely. So my recommendation would be to encourage their wards or their children to take up tech courses, learn skills like SQL, Excel, be open to learning about project management, data analysis, AI too as well. These are skill sets that are highly in demand. And also for people who are not even in college yet, there are also STEM courses. There are also STEM training centers that they can actually attend during the summertime. There are boot camps they can attend to as well to start to introduce their children to STEM and, of course, spur up that that curiosity for technology.
I'm gonna switch gears a bit. So we're talking about all these tech jobs, STEM jobs. On the other side of that, you mentioned healthcare. What other top professional careers are there that you're seeing that are more popular these days?
Yeah, absolutely. So the areas that we're seeing a lot of opportunities are actually in consulting too as well. So business consulting, IT consulting, also working in government. The government is actually one of the highest. When we look at salaries, they pay high salaries, good benefits, and also they hire a lot of professionals. So banking and finance consulting, retail, and of course, working in the government. These are industries where you can leverage your experience. And even if you're not working in tech, you can work in finance or even just shaping public policy. But these are definitely areas that I want people to look into aside from, all the other options that they might have.
All right. Lots of good information there, lots of insightful information, especially as we think about Black History and Black History Month. So thank you so much, Eno, for your time. Really appreciate you joining us right here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right, guys, stay with us because we have a whole lot more coming up when it comes to the Digital Desk. A lot more news segments to provide for you guys. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Today, February 29th, the rarest day of the year, and really any year because we only get it once every 4 years. Of course, today, Leap Day. When you look at the Leap Day extremes, 76 the warmest back in 1932, the coldest 22 degrees in 1884, the wettest just over 1/4 of an inch of rainfall in 1880. If we continued to get the rain in here tonight, maybe one of the wettest, but I don't think we're going to get to the wettest here to break a record. But definitely have some rain on the way that for the 7th time on a Leap Day in recorded history here in the city of Memphis. Snowiest, actually, yeah, we have seen snow on Leap Day. Just under 2.5 inches. That was back in 1968. Now today, this Leap Day in 2024, lots of clouds across the area, rain holding off, but we might see an isolated shower. Temperatures in the 30s early on to the 50s by the afternoon hours. Of course, we're waiting on some more sunshine. Warmer temperatures to come back into the fold. They're not far off from moving back into the region. Today, though, lots of clouds, maybe a couple of peaks of sun, and you might catch a quick shower or two as we go through the back end of the day. The bulk of the rain holds off until after sunset. So when you're checking in with Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers tonight on Action News 5 at 10, probably going to be dealing with the rain on First Alert Doppler radar. And when you're joining us here on the digital desk tomorrow morning, most of the rain will have already passed and moved out of the region. This is looking 6 o'clock in the morning, getting out on the roadways for that morning commute. Probably still some opportunities for rain here and there in a few spots. Roadways still damp from the overnight rain, and the bulk of the rain exiting and the clouds hanging on tough as we head into your Friday afternoon. Now that's going to lead up to an issue of fog banks that could develop as we head through the overnight period of your Friday into early Saturday. Temperatures will start off in the 40s. Again, fog banks early on, sunshine to return, and a beautiful day expected with highs in the low 70s, upper 60s to low 70s for Saturday afternoon. And of course, we're in a gulch right now, but we're about to go running up that hill soon enough with the temperatures running about 10 to 15 degrees above average yet again heading towards the early portions of the next week. And for some away from us up into the upper Midwest, some spots 30+ degrees above average. For us here in the Mid-South, again, as we go into your Saturday, starting off with some banks of fog, some clouds giving way to more sunshine through lunchtime, middle 60s, upper 60s, close to 70 as we get towards Saturday afternoon. Morning start in the 50s on Sunday. Yet again, morning clouds giving way to some sunshine breaks with highs in the middle 70s. A warm day and turning breezy on the backside of the day. Of course, those will be warmer breezes flowing in off the Gulf of Mexico ahead of our next weather maker. They'll bring us chances for rain and storms. They'll be building into the Mid-South, heading towards your latter portion of Monday, heading into Tuesday. Line of showers and thunderstorms moving through the area sometime during that time frame. We'll see how this all plays out. Now, keep in mind, we're heading into March, and you have to give that second look. Right now, not looking like severe weather, at least here locally, but could that change? Yeah, it's a possibility. We're several days out. So we'll be tracking it, keeping an eye on it, behind it, a little drier, but guess what? In the same vein as what we're dealing with this system right now, remember we just had a storm system come rolling through here the last couple of days, in the last 24 hours. That front's down to the south of us, another area of low pressure formed behind it. Well, guess what? More than likely, same idea is going to happen here next week, and that will bring us another wave of rain likely towards the end of next week as well. So in the meantime, getting another wave of rain to move in here later on this evening into tonight. Temperatures will ease down to the lower 40s, 50s for highs for your Friday, low to mid 50s with a lot of clouds. Fog banks early on your Saturday, but I think we end up with a lot of sunshine. So if you've got plans to be out and about Saturday and Sunday, look to be fantastic. Turning breezy, though, late Sunday, leading up to the opportunities for some rain and storms during the day on Monday. But I think the bulk of our rain probably coming in here Monday night, leading into Tuesday. Now, depending on how quickly this front moves through the area, could have to up the rain chances going into Tuesday. And notice behind that system, there's not a huge drop in temperatures. If anything, we actually kind of hover in the same level in the upper 60s, close to 70, heading towards the mid portion of next week, leading up to the next wave of rain that could take us into the end of next week. Of course, you can see that on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. The 10-day forecast right there in the palm of your hand. You can also track any showers right there in the palm of your hand using the interactive radar function.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Well, on March 5th, there is going to be tons of fun going down at the Orpheum in downtown Memphis. We are talking about the Disney Princess, the concert. It's coming to Memphis. It's going to be downtown. It's going to be at the Orpheum, and I can just hear the screams right now. Joining me now is Susan Egan. She's part of the cast there, and she knows exactly what I'm talking about with all the screams. Susan, how are you? Good morning.
I'm great, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. So tell me about this event. How, first off, is the tour? How's it going so far? And have you ever been to Memphis?
Okay, so yes, I live in Nashville. I'm a Tennessee girl. So yes. And in fact, we toured the country. We played over 100 US cities 2 years ago, and we are launching our 2024 tour on March 5th in Memphis. So you guys are the first to see it.
Fantastic. Awesome. That is terrific. So, so tell us about the show. What can the audience members expect?
Disney Princess the Concert is just what you said. It is a lot of fun in the audience, between the cast and the audience members. It is a celebration of these characters that have informed our lives and our pop culture since Snow White in 1937, all the way through Moana and these modern Disney heroines, and the music that has truly become the soundtrack to our lives. In addition to those characters, we also celebrate some Disney villains, our Disney heroes like Aladdin and Hercules and Kristoff from the Frozen franchise. So it's a lot of great music, and it stars 5 Broadway stars. Many of us have played these roles on Broadway. Myself, I was the original Belle in Beauty and the Beast. I was also the voice of Meg in Disney's Hercules, the animated feature. We've got Brad Gibson, who has a double credit as well. He was Simba in The Lion King on Broadway, and also is Hercules in the new stage adaptation that Disney Theatricals is doing. We have Cindy Winters, who was Nala in The Lion King, and we have Hiba El Sheikh, who was Jasmine in Aladdin. It's tons and tons of fun, and we sing all the songs, but the audience also sings along with us.
Oh, I bet they do. I bet every little girl that has dreamed of being a Disney princess is singing
What's
right
so
along.
funny
That's
about that,
fantastic.
you're not wrong, Andrew, but I gotta tell you, do you know who's singing louder? Their moms. Because this concert has become the sort of like Eras tour of princesses for all of those millennials who are reliving their VHS tape glory days.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay, so March 5th at the Orpheum. What else can we tell our viewers right now that are perhaps going to go or thinking about going?
Yeah, so in addition to the music on stage, we also have a 45-foot giant LED screen behind us that is full of the animation clips from all of these animated features. So you're seeing the characters live. It really brings back, it's that touchstone to your childhoods. And it's so interesting because everybody sort of identifies with a different character. You know, the grandparents in their generation are loving, you know, some of our OGs like Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. And then we've got our, like I say, those 90s queens, the millennials who are loving Ariel and Jasmine and Belle. And then all of our new princesses with Rapunzel and Moana and Tiana. And so it's a lot of eye candy on stage. In addition to the animation, we've got special effects, and maybe something even special happens during Let It Go at the very end of the show. Maybe there's some weather that happens inside the theater.
All right. Well, that's what we call a tease, Susan. Yes. So tell us, what cast member do you play? Are you allowed to tell us?
Yes, so I was Broadway's original Belle. We sing the five of us. We sing the music from all the Disney princesses, the characters that we were lucky enough to play in our lives. So I get to sing Belle's music, of course, and Meg's music from the animated feature because I was that voice. But I also get to sing a lot of other things. Rapunzel. I get to sing some villain songs. We all kind of take turns. But what's so exciting about the cast that we are able to bring to Memphis is that these are stars direct from Broadway. So in addition to singing this music, we get to pull the curtain back a little bit so that you guys can see what it was like behind the stage to play some of these characters. We tell stories where maybe the Beast accidentally pulled Belle's wig off during a show, or maybe there was a show when that magic carpet didn't exactly fly. Like, what happened? Live theater is so exciting, and this show gives us an opportunity to share those behind the scenes stories, both the funny ones and the really heartfelt ones.
It sounds amazing. You've sold me, certainly, and I don't have any little kids at home anymore. So,
well, it's a
what
big
else?
date night too. You know, we've had a lot of couples propose to each other at our show.
What?
I don't know how it turned into that, but it's become a very romantic evening too. I'm just saying.
Excellent, excellent. Anything else we can touch on before we let you go, Susan? This sounds terrific. Again, March 5th at the Orpheum.
Yeah, come and enjoy. This is really, whether you are a seasoned concert goer, you're going to love, the orchestrations that we have, the sound that we have. It is the highest quality. Disney only does things at that level. But it's also that great introduction if this is your first concert. We joke and sort of say, like, in a couple years they'll buy tickets to Taylor Swift, but we'll be their first intro into what it's like to be at a live concert. We also encourage you to dress up as your favorite character. I spend a lot of time at different Comic-Cons because of the work that I do for Disney Animation. And we want this show to be another opportunity for you to dress up as that character. And whether you're the little girl or the millennial or the college-age theater girl who wants to dress up as Rapunzel or Tiana, I will say we've also had dads fully dressed up as Elsa with a sign around his neck that says, "Let it bro." So, the invitation is open to everybody.
You are giving me ideas. Shh, Susan, thank you. Well, listen, if every cast member is like you, then this show is going to be high energy, high level action for 2 hours or so, right?
It is. It's an hour and 45 minutes. It's the perfect length. It's great for kids, great for adults. And like I say, it is such a celebration. We have now played, since we toured the US, we've played 18 countries on 5 continents. And I think the thing that is the most informative to me as being on the stage in all of those countries is how similar the reactions are, whether we are in the Middle East or Asia or Australia. All those kids are singing Let It Go with the English lyrics. They are just so fully into it. And it's really a testament to the idea that Disney really brings people together and shows off our similarities. It's such a beautiful message today. And like I say, if you're that grandparent, you're going to score a lot of points. If you're that dad, you're going to score a lot of points, whether it's with your wife, who's the millennial, or your kids. Come out. It's a lot of fun. There are tickets at every level, and the Orpheum's such a beautiful space. So come join us. And we're launching the tour with you. I couldn't think of a better city to do it in.
You have sold it, Susan. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Good luck on the tour. Fantastic news. You're kicking it off here in Memphis. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a good one.
Okay, you do the same, Susan. Thank you. All right, another live look from our High Five camera here in Midtown Memphis. 42 degrees, 10:09. Back in 60 seconds. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We always here at the Digital Desk look for ways to improve our life physically, mentally, emotionally. Well, there are always ways that we can do things maybe a little bit better, a little bit different based upon some new research out there, some new techniques. And apparently there are some breathing techniques out there that can improve our mental health. And joining me now to talk more about this is Allison White Stewart. She is the supervisor of Living Well Network with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Allison, good to have you on the Digital Desk. How are you this morning? I cannot hear you, Allison.
It's great to be here. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Now I can hear you. I'm much better now. So tell me about these breathing techniques, Allison, that can improve our mental health.
So there's a few breathing techniques that we can discuss today, but the good thing about breathing is that research shows us that it can lower blood pressure, it can calm our minds, it can even change our immune system. And so it's also helpful to regulate our mood, which helps us stay calmer and more effective, right? So one that I really like to do is diaphragmatic breathing. So the diaphragm, of course, is right here. And diaphragmatic breathing is what we call belly breathing, essentially. And one of my favorites is by a man, he's a psychiatrist named Dr. Rahman. And he says if you exhale twice as long as you inhale, that brings you to a calmer state. So if you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 1 second, and breathe out for 8 seconds, and hold again for 1 second, and then repeat that a couple of times, that's going to calm your mind down. So that's one that I really like to do. Another one is just called simple breathing, where you would breathe through your nose, not your chest. So breathe through your nose and then exhale for 4 seconds by making a little sound with your mouth, like a little whooshing sound. So you would breathe in for 4 seconds through your nose and breathe out for 4 seconds. So those are two really good ones. If you Google breathing exercises, there's tons of them on the internet. There's also YouTube videos that will go more in depth into the breathing exercises. But breathing has been shown to really make a difference in your overall health.
Can you tell us some of the reasons why something as simple as just monitor your breathing or trying different breathing techniques like from, your chest versus your nose and mouth, how these kind of techniques can improve mental health? I mean, I know that, for example, many people out there, if they're about to speak in front of a room, they might take a deep breath to kind of calm their nerves. Is it something like that?
Absolutely. So our mind and our body are connected, right? So if we, just like you said, if we're going and speaking like today, I'm a little nervous talking to you today. So I took a minute and I did some diaphragmatic breathing, and I breathed in for 4 seconds and breathed out for 8 seconds. Again, it gets my body less tense and it brings my mind to a calmer state.
Gotcha. If someone is watching right now, there's thousands of people that watch, and maybe they're at work or in the office, and they want to improve their mental health. Can you do it at work, and what would you recommend at work?
The good thing about breathing exercises, you can do them anywhere. You can do them while you're driving. You can do them while you're sitting at your desk. You can do them while you're laying down trying to go to sleep at night. And so, again, it can just take 5 minutes a day. Even 5 minutes a day of breathing, intentional breathing, has been shown to affect our health in a good way. So, again, you can do it anywhere. And again, simple breathing might be just breathing through your nose for 4 seconds and breathing out through your mouth for 4 seconds. So those are very simple breathing exercises you can do anytime, anywhere.
I appreciate that, Allison. Is there a place we can go online with Methodist to maybe perhaps learn a little bit more about various breathing techniques?
Sure. So the Living Well Network has a website. It's www.thelivingwellnetwork.org. We have lots of information about a variety of things for your mental health. So it's a really good resource to have. And just go on there and see what we got for you.
All right, Allison White Stewart, Living Well Network, Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare, breathing us into a better mental health state. Thanks so very much. Appreciate it. There is a new survey out there that challenges and highlights the challenges that caregivers face. I want to bring in now to the Action News 5 digital desk a family therapist, a former caregiver, to really share some insight on ways to navigate these unseen struggles that happen so often. I'm joined now by Dr. Merle Griff. She is a family therapist, a former caregiver herself. Dr. Griff, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the digital desk. Can you talk a little bit more about this survey and some of the biggest challenges that you see family caregivers face? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. The OSCA survey on family caregivers showed that family caregivers are often very stressed. They're feeling very overburdened. They're often exhausted. But I think more importantly, the findings from the survey show that very often they have a financial impact. It impacts their jobs, their careers. They often have to cut back their hours. I've worked with families where the family caregivers actually had to stop working. And this has a very, very definite financial impact, with about 72% of family caregivers having to dip into the retirement funds or the personal savings. Very often, a large majority of them don't have the money to spend on necessities. And by necessities, we mean food and their own prescription medications.
Yeah, I'm a former caregiver myself. So is my wife. We lived with my father-in-law the last 5 years of his life. My father lives in a different state, but he has Alzheimer's, and so he has caregivers as well. What is the best advice you can give to caregivers out there? Because as you mentioned, they feel so alone and they feel so stressed out and so anxious.
Well, thank you very much for caring for your family. It is very hard. And so thank you for doing that. I think that OSCA surveys clearly showed that family members want help. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And they look to help from other family members. And that can be in various ways. It could be actually going to the house to stay with someone for a period of time, to helping out with insurance papers or dealing with finances. It also means just maybe sending a meal, twice a month, or, sending a small gift of candy or TV. I'm sorry, but watching TV with someone. But the most important thing for family caregivers is they really have to refuel. You can't run on empty. And when you're not taking care of someone, when you are taking care of someone, then you really have to take care of yourself.
No question about it. So really quickly, I know we only have a few seconds left. Is there a place online where we can get information for people out there that are perhaps struggling or about to go through this process?
Yes, absolutely. I would highly recommend you go to otska-us.com. Lots of resources there for you.
Okay, Dr. Merle Griff, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing some insights and some expert advice. We appreciate it. Okay, Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. Police departments nationwide are coping with critical staff shortages and are struggling to hire patrol officers, 911 operators, and plenty more. And this comes at a time where crime rates continue to skyrocket and relationships between the police departments and the communities they serve continues to become more tense. Let's bring in Markel Hutchins, CEO of Movement Forward and a police community relations activist, to talk more about this issue. Markel, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's good to be with you.
Good to have you here with us. How bad is this problem, Markel?
Well, it is really the most challenging issue that I think our nation faces today at a time when crime and violence is escalating in some of our most vulnerable communities. Law enforcement agencies continue to face a difficult time with retaining the talent that they have and attracting new talent. More law enforcement professionals have left the profession in the last 12 months than any other time in a consecutive 12-month period. So we really have to put a focus and shift the narrative away from the things that divide us to the things that unite us. And that's what I think our nation needs most at this moment.
You notice, Markel, I'm thinking back, the 2020, you had the death of George Floyd, and then you had this huge undercurrent of this negativity towards police departments nationwide. Is that part of this problem?
I think that is a driving factor in what is now a historic shortage in law enforcement after the death of George Floyd and even the police-involved controversies that led up to the protest of the summer of 2020. All of those things combined were a powder keg that have exploded on America's streets. The challenge that law enforcement faces is no one wants to be a police officer now because of all of the animosity, all of the anger, all of the resentment that has been directed and in some instances misdirected at our nation's law enforcement professionals. But the good news is our darkest hours as a nation have always been before the break of a new dawning. We created National Faith in Blue Weekend, the Memphis Police Department and the other law enforcement agencies in Memphis are very much engaged. They want to reach out to the community. So the second weekend in October, across Memphis and across the country, law enforcement agencies and communities have an opportunity to come together, to sit together and reason together to figure out a pathway forward to deal with officer shortages, as well as the escalating crime and continuing tensions that face our country.
Markel, 2 years ago, the defund the police movement was so, it gained a lot of stature and status. And I'm just wondering how much of those residual effects of this defund the police movement is still persistent among cities across the country and, just contributing to this problem.
You know, I have been at the forefront of human and civil rights for the last 25 years. I had the good fortune to be mentored by many of the icons that work very closely with Martin Luther King Jr., including his wife, Mrs. Coretta Scott King. I'm a civil rights, human rights, social justice guy. The notion of defunding the police is the arch enemy of communities of color and of any community. We cannot defund our way to safer streets nor to reduction in officer-involved tragedies. But what we've seen over the last several years has been the amplification of the vocal minority, those who seek to demonize law enforcement, drive wedges between police and communities. But that's a real small number of people. What we have seen is an epic failure in the defund the police movement. That was not a movement at all. I think most people in communities from Memphis to everywhere across this country understand that we have to stand in solidarity with our law enforcement professionals. We want to be policed with fairness and justice and equity, but we cannot allow these small few voices to really put forward a message around defunding the police, because that just hurts our communities. And that call for defunding of the police has really detracted and distracted people who might have otherwise chosen careers in law enforcement.
So, Markel, here in Memphis, the Memphis Police Department has been trying all kinds of incentives to boost up the amount of officers within the department, because there is a shortage, and all the city leaders and the police leaders have said, hey, we need to hire hundreds more to get up to the staff where we are comfortable. They've tried all kinds of different hiring bonuses, free relocation options and services, all kinds of different incentives to get people to join the Memphis Police Department. And unfortunately, they're still at a significant deficit. What's it going to take to overcome those deficits?
It's going to take a shift in the narrative that we've heard nationally. We have to be the change that we want to see. There ought to be more young people, more people of color that consider and choose careers in law enforcement. Most people that get into that profession do so for the sake of serving their communities. We need to talk more about that. But police departments will not be able to attract and retain the talent that they want if they have to do the recruiting by themselves. Every faith-based organization in Memphis, you've got some wonderful faith-based organizations there. Every one of them, every community group, every neighborhood, every school, particularly the colleges and universities, should begin collaborating with this Memphis Police Department to figure out a way to get some of the people in those communities to actually join the police force. You have a world-class law enforcement executive in the person of the director or chief, C.J. Davis. She's a wonderful leader, but she cannot do it by herself. Every community organization, every faith-based group, every political leader has to come together with Memphis PD and really figure out a pathway forward to get people interested and involved in careers in law enforcement with the police department.
You know, we've heard about that, and that's kind of the rub, Markel, is like getting the faith-based organizations in those communities together in order to help some of the biggest problems in Memphis. I've been a part of this community now for 16 years, and I've seen how important the faith-based community is here, and how important it is to solve those big-time problems and come up with solutions to combat those problems. What's it going to take to really kind of change the idea, change the messaging, change the tone, so that police forces across the country are not only places where you see good, positive things happen, but also organizations that people want to join, that they want to support?
It's going to require a change in posture from community-based organizations, most especially faith-based organizations, away from a protest model to a partnership model. Again, I've been at the forefront of civil rights. I've been jailed many times and led huge protests around police accountability. But at this point, our best march is not on police departments, and especially Memphis, but with our law enforcement agencies. Since the death of George Floyd, we have seen not only a failure of a reduction in officer-involved tragedies, but there's been an increase in officer-involved tragedies, both where officers are taking the lives of people prematurely and where officers are being attacked and assaulted. At the same time, crime and violence is rising. Our posture has to change if we're going to change those things. What I mean by that is we need to look for ways not just to challenge or protest police, but every faith-based organization ought to be looking for a way to partner with law enforcement. And through that partnership, not only can you hold them accountable, but you can support them. And that's what it's going to require. We need a change of posture, a change of narrative, a change of direction. There has never been a movement for positive social change in American history that was not anchored in the faith space. Dr. King gave his life right there in Memphis. He was Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., it was Reverend Ralph David Abernathy, Reverend Fred T. Shuttlesworth, Reverend Billy Kyles. So many great civil rights icons were at the forefront of the civil rights movement because they were faith leaders. We need every church, every single faith-based organization, every single group, not to just challenge the Memphis Police Department, but to collaborate with them, hold them accountable when they're wrong, but when they're right, the vast and overwhelming majority of the time, we have a moral obligation to stand in solidarity with them. And that's what I call upon the Memphis community to do. The police department can't fix itself. They can't fix all the problems by themselves. They need some partners. And that's what those faith-based and community groups should be doing at this moment, this critical moment in history.
You say you are CEO of Movement Forward. Briefly explain what that is and tell us what kind of presence it has here in the Memphis community.
So Movement Forward is a solution-focused human and civil rights organization that's inclusive and modern. We take the best of the civil rights movement principles and move them forward into collaborative space. So it's not just Black versus white. One of the challenges that we've seen over the last several years when it comes to policing that we take a distinctly different posture of is we saw too many people in one corner yelling, "Our lives matter," different folks in different corners yelling and screaming different messages. We've never progressed when we separate or segregate ourselves from one another. What we do at Movement Forward is look forward to opportunities to bring communities and law enforcement, communities and governments, communities and corporations together to actually solve problems. Too much of what has become of social justice is adversarial. But whatever it is that we fight, we ultimately invite. Our principle, the premise of our organization, is to bring people together to solve problems. And that's what we're doing in collaboration with the Memphis Police Department. Our anchor signature program is National Faith and Blue Weekend. It's the largest police community outreach project in American history. The Memphis Police Department, Chief Davis and Sergeant Tadero Holmes, and so many other great people there at the Memphis Police Department put together events the second weekend in October that actually bring the law enforcement community and the community at large together. Again, we have to put solutions on the table. The challenges that we face when it comes to crime and trust will not be solved by legislation. They will be resolved by relationship. And that's what we focus on here in our organization, is that kind of relational reformation.
Reverend Markel Hutchins, really appreciate everything that you're doing. We certainly are rooting you on, and thank you for this interesting discussion. We appreciate all the knowledge. And if someone wants to get some more information about this, where can they go? They can visit us at movementforward.org, movementforward.org,
or specifically around Faith and Blue Weekend. And I cannot emphasize enough that we just will not solve these problems in silos. The police department can't do it by themselves, and the community can't do it by ourselves. We need one another. I encourage everybody to visit us at faithandblue.org and follow us on social media at Faith and Blue, and follow me at Rev Markel.
Okay, Reverend Markel Hutchins, once again, thanks so much for the time this morning. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Today, February 29th, the rarest day of the year, and really any year because we only get it once every 4 years. Of course, today, Leap Day. When you look at the Leap Day extremes, 76 the warmest back in 1932, the coldest 22 degrees in 1884, the wettest just over a quarter of an inch of rainfall in 1880. If we continued to get the rain in here tonight, maybe one of the wettest, but I don't think we're going to get to the wettest here to break a record. But definitely have some rain on the way that for the 7th time on a Leap Day in recorded history here in the city of Memphis. Snowiest, actually, yeah, we have seen snow on Leap Day. Just under 2.5 inches. That was back in 1968. Now today, this Leap Day in 2024, lots of clouds across the area, rain holding off, but we might see an isolated shower. Temperatures in the 30s early on to the 50s by the afternoon hours. Of course, we're waiting on some more sunshine. Warmer temperatures to come back into the fold. They're not far off from moving back into the region. Today, though, lots of clouds, maybe a couple of peaks of sun, and you might catch a quick shower or two as we go through the back end of the day. The bulk of the rain holds off until after sunset. So when you're checking in with Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers tonight on Action News 5 at 10, probably going to be dealing with the rain on First Alert Doppler radar. And when you're joining us here on the digital desk tomorrow morning, most of the rain will have already passed and moved out of the region. This is looking 6 o'clock in the morning, getting out on the roadways for that morning commute. Probably still some opportunities for rain here and there in a few spots. Roadways still damp from the overnight rain, and the bulk of the rain exiting and the clouds hanging on tough as we head into your Friday afternoon. Now that's going to lead up to an issue of fog banks that could develop as we head through the overnight period of your Friday into early Saturday. Temperatures will start off in the 40s. Again, fog banks early on, sunshine to return, and a beautiful day expected with highs in the low 70s, upper 60s to low 70s for Saturday afternoon. And of course, we're in a gulch right now, but we're about to go running up that hill soon enough with the temperatures running about 10 to 15 degrees above average yet again, heading towards the early portions of the next week. And for some away from us up into the upper Midwest, some spots 30+ degrees above average. For us here in the Mid-South, again, as we go into your Saturday, starting off with some banks of fog, some clouds giving way to more sunshine through lunchtime, middle 60s, upper 60s, close to 70 as we get towards Saturday afternoon. Morning start in the 50s on Sunday. Yet again, morning clouds giving way to some sunshine breaks with highs in the middle 70s. A warm day and turning breezy on the backside of the day. Of course, those will be warmer breezes flowing in off the Gulf of Mexico ahead of our next weather maker. They'll bring us chances for rain and storms. They'll be building into the Mid-South, heading towards your latter portion of Monday, heading into Tuesday. Line of showers and thunderstorms moving through the area sometime during that time frame. We'll see how this all plays out. Now, keep in mind, we're heading into March, and you have to give that second look. Right now, not looking like severe weather, at least here locally, but could that change? Yeah, it's a possibility. We're several days out. So we'll be tracking it, keeping an eye on it, behind it, a little drier, but guess what? In the same vein as what we're dealing with this system right now, remember we just had a storm system come rolling through here the last couple of days, in the last 24 hours. That front's down to the south of us. Another area of low pressure formed behind it. Well, guess what? More than likely, same idea is going to happen here next week, and that will bring us another wave of rain likely towards the end of next week as well. So in the meantime, getting another wave of rain to move in here later on this evening into tonight. Temperatures will ease down to the lower 40s, 50s for highs for your Friday, low to mid 50s with a lot of clouds. Fog banks early on your Saturday, but I think we end up with a lot of sunshine. So if you've got plans to be out and about, Saturday and Sunday look to be fantastic. Turning breezy, though, late Sunday, leading up to the opportunities for some rain and storms during the day on Monday. But I think the bulk of our rain probably coming in here Monday night, leading into Tuesday. Now, depending on how quickly this front moves through the area, could have to up the rain chances going into Tuesday. And notice behind that system, there's not a huge drop in temperatures. If anything, we actually kind of hover in the same level in the upper 60s, close to 70, heading towards the mid portion of next week. leading up to the next wave of rain that could take us into the end of next week. Of course, you can see that on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. The 10-day forecast right there in the palm of your hand. You can also track any showers right there in the palm of your hand using the interactive radar function.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Let's talk about some of the trees that are around your property. This time of year, most of the trees don't have anything on them. You know, they look like sticks out there. Well, now's the time to really kind of think about, are trees dangerous? The ones that are close to your home, perhaps you might want to think of removing them so they don't fall in a storm or severe winds that we've been having across Memphis and the Mid-South. Let's bring in right now a certified arborist with Davey Tree, Mike Mabe. He is on the digital desk this morning for us. Mike, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you. So let's first talk about some of the trees that are in Tennessee that may be problem trees if they're on your property. What do you see from your vantage point in terms of your company, Davey Tree, and some of the problem trees out there that could pose a risk if there's high winds or severe storms?
Trees that usually have mushrooms growing around the bases of them, those are prone to failure. In a lot of cases, it's good to have someone that is a professional come by and inspect them. Limbs that are very tight forked have a tendency to break a little bit more. Things of that nature. It's always best to have a real professional come by and check your trees, especially this time of the year when you can see all the way to the top of the tree, as compared to during the summertime when you can see a canopy. So, if you will, you can't see the tree for all the leaves.
Oh yeah, I know that's a problem, and certainly, you know, there's an issue there. A lot of people have a bunch of trees, either on the side or the front lawn or in the back. Is there maybe a guide, 2-3 bullet points that you would tell a homeowner? Hey, if you look for these kind of things, I know you mentioned, you know, mushrooms, that sort of thing. What would you tell them if you had like bullet points?
Broken limbs, limbs that are discolored, have fungal growth on the limbs themselves. If you start seeing more and more limbs breaking off during just the light winds, picking up tree trash in your yard, being smaller limbs and that type of thing, that are continuously breaking off, usually a sign that something else is going on in the upper canopy. Like I said, fungal growth around the base of the tree, hollows, cavities, any kind of vertical or horizontal fractures in the trunks, or when you start seeing limbs that have been hanging there since last year's storms, which we had quite a number of those storms last year. And there's still a lot of dangerous limbs up in the trees that would cause, you know, hazards to people that are walking by, power lines, houses, driveways, that type of thing.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. There were some severe storms for sure. This time of year, what kind of calls do you get from your company?
This time of the year, a lot of it is replacement trees, trying to figure out what's going on as far as replacing some of the trees that died last year, having those removed, having the trees trimmed up so they don't have the storm damage in them this year when we start hitting the spring storms that are usually coming up real soon. It's always in that situation best to have us come by and take a look at them. Also fertilization for the trees to build the stronger root system so you don't have the problems with the insects and diseases as the summer progresses.
Yeah, no question about it. I know you mentioned this a little bit, but sometimes it's hard for homeowners out there, Mike, to determine, especially this time of year when we're still, you know, it's still kind of cold out and the leaves haven't sprung yet, to determine whether your tree is just in effect, hibernating or actually dead? Is there a quick way to really kind of tell right off the bat?
The buds on the limbs, this time of the year, usually trees start setting leaf buds and flower buds a lot of times in the fall. So you can see the buds out on the very tips of the limbs. If they're not present, usually the limb is dead. Discolorations, fungal growth on the limbs, and those are some really quick things that pretty much anybody can see.
Got it. I know that you are a certified arborist, and I understand that Tennessee Arbor Day is coming up.
Yes, Tennessee Arbor Day is coming up on March the 1st. It's also a good time to start planting trees by then. Tennessee trees, usually it's a good day to be planting trees. Everybody wants to talk about that at that time. That comes up on March the 16th. So it's a really good time to get out there and plant a tree with your grandchildren and your children, and you can kind of watch it grow as a family.
Are there certain kinds of trees that you recommend people plant in our area of West Tennessee, North Mississippi, Eastern Arkansas?
Yes, around here, because of the soil types and the weather types that we have, oak trees are always a really good choice. Maple trees grow really well around here. They can tolerate the heat, and not Japanese maples so much, but regular maple trees, sugar maples, silver maples, things like that. They can tolerate the heat pretty well. Most of the oaks do tolerate the heat. Magnolia trees, if you want something that's going to be more of an evergreen type tree. Those types of trees grow really well in this area. And then, of course, our state tree, which is a tulip poplar. They grow really well around here. So.
Excellent, excellent. All right, Mike. Well, listen, I appreciate the knowledge, information, very valuable for us. Anything else you want to mention? We have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning.
Well, we would appreciate your call if you do need any tree inspections. Be more than happy to come by and take a look at those trees. If you're questioning whether limbs are dead, that type of thing, we'll be more than happy to point those out to you, or tell you that the tree's doing fine. Usually inspections from most legitimate companies are no charge, and you can get good estimates from good qualified people when you start looking for certified arborists. That is one of the base things to start looking for. And then also licensing, bonding, workers' comp for the people that are working on your property, not just the owner. Those type of things protect the homeowner themselves also.
All right, Mike Mabe from Davey Tree of Memphis. We appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Let's talk about a new initiative from AARP that helps people near retirement take steps for preparing their financial future. Have you heard of pre-tirement? That is one of the words we are talking about today with our latest guest here, Mary Liz Burns, Senior Director of Communications Strategy at AARP. Mary, good morning to you. Tell us about this pre-tirement word. What's it all about? Good morning.
Good morning to you, too. Thanks for having me on. So retirement is that time in your life when you're thinking about what retirement could look like, but you maybe are not as prepared as you think that you are, and there's certain steps you want to take so you can become confident in retirement. And that confidence is the real challenge. Most people are very anxious and fearful about the future. 1 in 5 don't have any retirement savings, and 2/3 of folks feel that they're going to outlive their savings. So AARP and the Ad Council launched these brand new ads and a new free website that really take that retirement fear out of your head in the form of a creature that you can talk to. And the creature looks a little scary at the beginning, but actually as you talk to it, you realize there's just a few small steps you can take that make that retirement fear disappear. And a lot of those steps are right at our website. This is pretirement.org, where you can take a quiz or you can build your own personalized retirement savings action plan.
So let's talk about some of those first steps, Mary. I mean, if there's someone out there that really hasn't started planning for retirement, what are some of the first steps they can take?
First of all, know you're not alone, and do not feel any shame or fear about it. There are a lot of people having a real hard time making ends meet as well as saving for your future. But there are a couple things you can do. If you've got a retirement savings work plan at work that you're not contributing to, like a 401k, just contribute a little bit and watch that money grow. And second, if you haven't done a budget in a while, even looking at your bank statements, what's going in and out, really analyze those, take a look, see if there's some places where you can divert some of that savings into savings for retirement, or figure out where you need to really focus on some of those debt and expenses you want to eliminate so you've got more room.
What about those people that are close to retirement, let's say 5 years or less? What are some ways that they can start saving aggressively to try and, I guess you could say, catch up?
We hear from a lot of people who are just really worried. They start to panic that they're about ready to retire and not sure if they're going to have enough to be able to live on. Here's what we say. First is you want to maximize your savings. So you can do a catch-up contribution at your workplace, which means you can just put a little bit more in and watch it grow. You also need to look at your debt and think about what retirement looks like if you bring all this debt into it. So many people have credit card debts, month-to-month balances. We have a lot of great tips on the website to help you get that debt under control. And don't forget to think about Social Security, when you're going to claim it and how to maximize it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, and you brought up debt, I mean, people are going to have to go in multiple ways here. And, they're going to have to try and stay on a budget, pay off debt. Do you offer, or does AARP offer some strategies to do all these things at the same time?
We've got a lot of great resources besides This is Pretirement at aarp.org/money tools. But on This is Pretirement, we have a lot of ways you can think about what comes first and looking at ways to conquer the best debt for you that makes the most sense. People are really struggling. I do believe you can do it all, but you may not be able to do all of it all at the same time. So you just try to at least focus on what's keeping you up at night. If it's debt, then you need to focus on debt. But if you can put aside a little bit for savings for your future, it'll make a big difference.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, Mary Liz Burns, Senior Director of Communication Strategy at AARP, talking about thisispretirement.org. Mary, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so very much.
Thanks for having me.
Digital Desk. We always like to check in with our friends at Google to see what kind of search trends we saw on any given month. Of course, it's towards the end of February right now. We want to look and see what we searched as a country. And certainly it is interesting to see where things are. We're joined now by Justin Burr, Google Trends expert, to see where we are at the month of February. And Justin, good morning. It looks like a lot of things that were in the news, in entertainment, no matter what the topic. It looks like Taylor Swift certainly made the headlines in more ways than one. Good morning.
Absolutely, yeah. February, a short month, but a lot of stuff going on. We had the Grammy Awards. So Taylor Swift trending for her musical talent there. She announced a new album, Tortured Poets Department. And so there was big search interest around that. Obviously, we had the Super Bowl. She was also a part of that. So Taylor Swift trending in a lot of categories, a lot of stuff going on in February.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, and I guess the Lunar New Year traditions. That was kind of interesting. And then I see, I always like seeing what people in our area searched. Any idea? It looks like Tennessee. What did they search for before Valentine's Day?
Yeah, before Valentine's Day. So there's a few things going on. Let's talk a little bit broader here. So Lunar New Year, which you just mentioned. So in Tennessee, people are searching for red envelopes above decorations and above parade. And then if you also look at some of the trends around Black History Month, in Tennessee, people were searching for Black-owned wine above all other products within Black History Month as well, which is a fun one. For Valentine's Day, the most searched date activity for you all was relaxation. So people in Tennessee were trying to gift relaxation to their loved one here on Valentine's Day.
That's a great idea. And it's funny, our meteorologist, Justin, he said Valentine's Day is more like Singles Awareness Day with the acronym SAD. And, and he mentioned, and it's so funny that I have, odd news. I always look at the odd news category to just see what people are searching. Give us some insight on that.
Yeah, so you mentioned Single Awareness Day, SAD. Also in that category, credit score dating app. That search interest rose by over 600%. And that is literally a dating app that will match people based on their credit score, which is pretty funny. So that was an interesting one. Also, the Curacao and the Cayman Islands were trending as the top solo travel destinations for February. And then also best meal kit for singles. So a lot of single search interest here in February to maybe counteract all the Valentine's Day search interest.
I love it. I've done an interview before, Justin, where this one singles person, he talked about how a credit score is very attractive, a high credit score, obviously. I notice I'm a big sports fan. NBA All-Star Weekend, all kinds of searches coming out of that, huh?
Yeah, NBA All-Star Weekend was great. There was a lot of search interest because Stephen Curry was going against a three-point contest against WNBA superstar Sabrina Ionescu, which was awesome. So a ton of search interest around that, and there was a lot of states that were searching more so for Sabrina over Steph. Steph won by 3 points. So there was a lot of search interest there. It's always a fun weekend to watch the NBA guys, but I think the most fun for me was watching that three-point contest between the WNBA and the NBA.
I'm a sucker for that too. I love the three-point contest. Anything else? I see something about, is tea good for headaches? Is tea good for working out? Diverticulitis? What's going on there, Justin?
Yeah, there was a lot of tea interest. U.S. search interest around tea reached an all-time high in February, so that's interesting. Also, in the kind of morning drink game, latte perfume. That increased by 2,500% search interest around that. So people trying to smell like lattes, they're trying to drink lattes. I don't know, but somehow February was a big latte perfume month.
Love is in the air, right? Whether you're drinking coffee, whether you're drinking teas, certainly the case. Justin Burr, we really appreciate you guys breaking it down for us. All the trends across the country and across the world with Google. Justin, thanks.
Great, thanks so much.
All right, that does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. We got Ariana Poindexter taking you through the next hour on Action News 5 midday, and then you can join us once again bright and early tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock for a Friday edition of the Action News 5 Digital Desk. It will be March 1st, a new month there, but we are always maintaining the Digital Desk every Monday through Friday from 7 until 11. It is our streaming site on actionnews5.com. You can also find us on our free news app and all of our digital platforms, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and Roku. And then you can watch us on normal television too, channel 5.5, that is the Action News 5 Plus channel, and channel 907 on Xfinity. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon.